Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto was the true heir to Hell, the Angelic Prince of Hope Naruto x Charlie Morningstar, Hazbin Hotel. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, The Fox Falls Down. I freaking hate solo missions, Naruto muttered, wiping sweat from his brow as he climbed the steep mountain path. The sun beat down mercilessly, making his orange and black jumpsuit stick to his skin. Especially ones that take me to the middle of nowhere for some weird energy disturbance. 3 days of travel from Konoha had led him to this remote range where locals reported strange lights and ominous sounds coming from an ancient temple. Tsunade had dismissed it as superstition but sent him anyway, just to be sure. Granny Tsunade probably just wanted me out of her hair for a week, he grumbled, hopping over a fallen tree. But something feels off. Kurama stirred inside him. I sense it too, Kit. Something ancient. Familiar, yet not. The forest thinned as Naruto reached higher ground. Cresting a ridge, he spotted it, a weathered stone structure nestled against the mountainside. Not particularly impressive, just a simple shrine with columns supporting a crumbling roof. Yet chakra pulsed from it in waves that made his skin tingle. Well, that's definitely not normal. Approaching cautiously, Naruto created 2 shadow clones to scout the perimeter while he examined the entrance. Faded symbols covered the stone archway, not characters he recognized from any language he'd studied. Hey, what's this? He reached out, tracing his finger along a spiral symbol that looked suspiciously like the one on his stomach. The moment his skin made contact, the marking glowed bright blue. Naruto, stop. Kurama's warning came too late. The spiral pulsed, and suddenly all the symbols on the archway lit up in sequence. A drop of blood from Naruto's recently cut finger, courtesy of a thorny bush during his climb, seeped into the stone. Shit. He jumped back as the ground trembled. The temple entrance warped, stones shifting to reveal a swirling vortex of darkness and light. Run, you idiot! Kurama roared. Naruto turned to flee, but the portal expanded rapidly, pulling at his clothes, his hair, his very being. His feet slid backward despite his efforts to escape. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he shouted, creating a chain of clones to anchor himself. But one by one, they popped out of existence as the pull grew stronger. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Naruto dug his heels in, fingers clawing at the ground. The force yanked him off his feet and into the swirling void. His scream echoed as the portal snapped shut behind him, leaving nothing but undisturbed ruins and chirping birds. This is it, Vaggie. Everything's about to change. Charlie Morningstar bounced excitedly around her office, blonde hair flying as she spun. Her pale skin was flushed with excitement, mismatched eyes sparkling. Vaggie sighed, brushing her long white hair back. Charlie, honey, slow down. What exactly did your father tell you? Charlie grabbed her girlfriend's shoulders. The Prince of Hope. Dad finally admitted why our redemption program hasn't been working. Hell isn't just missing redemption, it's missing its balance. There's supposed to be a Prince of Hope to counter all the, you know. She gestured broadly to the red-tinged hellscape visible through the window. All this despair and suffering stuff. A Prince of Hope. In hell. Vaggie's single eye narrowed skeptically. That sounds crazy, I know. Charlie interrupted, twirling. But it makes sense. Hell can't have redemption without hope. And apparently, this prince was supposed to be here ages ago, but something happened, and now the balance is all wonky. And your father just decided to tell you this now? After watching you struggle with the hotel for months? Vaggie crossed her arms. Charlie's smile faltered slightly. Well, he said the signs are appearing again. The prince might finally be coming, and he thought I should know since it affects my work. A suave voice cut through the room. My dear, this sounds absolutely fascinating. Alastor, the radio demon, materialized from the shadows, his ever-present smile wide and menacing. Static crackled around him as he approached. Vaggie immediately placed herself between him and Charlie, her spear materializing. Back off, radio demon. Now, Alastor said, twirling his microphone staff. I couldn't help but overhear your charming conversation. A prince of hope in our delightful den of despair. What entertainment! He laughed, the sound accompanied by an audience track. Perhaps I could assist in locating this princely fellow. Charlie brightened. You could help. That would be suspicious as hell, Vaggie cut in. Why would you care about finding some prince? Alastor's eyes narrowed, though his smile never wavered. My dear, can't a demon simply be curious? New players change the game, and I do so love games. His voice dropped an octave. Besides, anything that shakes up the monotony of eternity is worth investigating, wouldn't you agree? Before Vaggie could argue further, a tremendous crash shook the building. The chandelier swung wildly, and picture frames clattered to the floor. What the fuck was that? Came Angel Dust's voice from downstairs. Charlie rushed to the window. In the distance, a pillar of light pierced the crimson sky, illuminating the pentagram-shaped city. Something's happening in the Eastern District. Alastor appeared beside her, radio dial eyes zooming in like telescopes. My. Whatever fell from the sky certainly made an entrance. Charlie was already grabbing her coat. I need to check this out. Charlie, wait. Vaggie called. It could be dangerous. But the princess was already running down the stairs, heart pounding with a strange certainty. Whatever, or whoever, had just crashed into hell wasn't an ordinary arrival. Naruto tumbled through darkness and light, wind whipping around him as he fell through what felt like reality itself. Colors he couldn't name flashed past. For a terrifying moment, he felt himself stretching, molecules pulling apart, then impact. Hard ground cracked beneath him as he slammed into it, creating a small crater. Pain shot through every inch of his body. Ugh! He groaned, pushing himself up on shaking arms. What the hell was that? More like, what the hell is this? Kurama growled. Open your eyes, Kit. Naruto blinked dust away and froze. The sky above was blood red, crossed with strange patterns. Bizarre buildings surrounded him, architecture defying physics. And approaching him were creatures. Definitely not human. Genjutsu, he muttered, forming a hand sign. Release. Nothing changed. A horned being with 4 arms pointed at him. Look at this one. Fell right out of the sky. Fresh meat, cackled another, this one resembling a nightmarish fusion of insect and woman. Doesn't even look like a sinner yet. Naruto, Kurama's voice was uncharacteristically serious. This is not a genjutsu. We're in hell. Hell. Naruto repeated incredulously. Like, actual hell. That's not possible. The temple was a gateway between realms. I've sensed such things before, but never one so powerful. A crowd was gathering now, demonic figures of all shapes and sizes, muttering and pointing. Some looked almost human, others were monstrosities beyond description. All had predatory gleams in their eyes. Hey, Blondie, called a demon with shark teeth. You alive or dead? 'Cause you don't smell like either. Naruto stood, wincing at his already healing injuries. Stay back. I don't want trouble. This caused an eruption of laughter. Hear that? He doesn't want trouble, mocked a bat-like creature. Welcome to hell, sweetheart. Trouble's all we got. The first demon lunged, claws extended. Naruto's instincts kicked in. He sidestepped, grabbed the outstretched arm, and flipped the creature over his shoulder, slamming it hard into the ground. Silence fell over the crowd. Anyone else? Naruto asked, settling into a fighting stance. They all attacked at once. Naruto's hands formed familiar signs. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen copies poofed into existence, each taking on attackers. The demons faltered in confusion. What the, he's multiplying. Naruto weaved through the chaos, his clones working in perfect coordination. One launched him into the air, where he formed his signature technique. Rasengan. He slammed the swirling ball of chakra into the street, sending demons flying. But they kept coming, more pouring in from side streets. And these weren't like fighting humans or even ninja. They changed shape, spat acid, teleported. For every one he knocked down, 2 more appeared. There's too many. Naruto shouted as a barbed tail slashed across his back. He hissed in pain. Kurama's chakra bubbled up, red energy beginning to leak out. Let me help. Not yet, Naruto grunted, ducking under a swinging chain. Too dangerous with all these buildings around. A fireball hurtled toward him. He leapt aside, but a clawed hand caught his ankle, slamming him down. Teeth snapped near his face. He punched the creature away, only to face 3 more. Enough. A female voice cut through the commotion. The attacking demons suddenly froze, looking past Naruto with expressions ranging from annoyance to fear. He twisted to see who had spoken. A young woman stood there, pale-skinned with rosy cheeks, long blonde hair with pink tips, and a smart suit with a bow tie. She looked almost human except for her unusual eyes and sharp teeth visible when she smiled. Back off, everyone. This one's not for eating. Ah, come on, Charlie, complained a lanky demon. We found him first. Yeah, chimed another. Princess or not, you can't claim every interesting thing that falls into hell. Charlie's smile didn't waver, but her eyes flashed red, and her form seemed to grow more imposing. I said back. Off. The crowd reluctantly dispersed, grumbling but clearly unwilling to challenge her further. Naruto stood warily, eyeing this Charlie person. Thanks for the assist, but who are you? I'm Charlotte Magna, Princess of Hell, but everyone calls me Charlie. She stepped forward, offering her hand. And you're definitely not from around here. Naruto didn't take her hand. Naruto Uzumaki. And I really need to get back home. Boo, a Japanese name. Charlie clapped excitedly. I haven't met many souls from Japan recently. But wait, she leaned closer, studying him with surprising intensity. You're not dead, are you? Last time I checked, no. The princess is right, Kurama rumbled. You're alive in a realm of the dead. That makes us a target. Charlie circled Naruto curiously. A living human in hell without dying first. That's super rare. How did you? She stopped abruptly as red chakra seeped from Naruto's seal, forming a bubbling cloak around him. His features sharpened, canines lengthening. What's happening to you? Her voice held no fear, only fascination. She smells of brimstone and royalty, Kurama growled through Naruto's mouth. A true heir of hell. Charlie's eyes widened. 2 souls in one body. No wonder you feel so different. Instead of backing away, she stepped closer, her hand glowing with soft light. Your energy's going haywire. Hell does that to living beings. Here, let me help. Before Naruto could protest, she placed her palm against his chest. A cooling sensation spread through him, tamping down Kurama's agitated chakra. The fox growled but retreated. How did you do that? Naruto asked, feeling the burning energy subside. It's a family thing. Charlie smiled. I can sense energies, balance them sometimes. And yours is, interesting. Her eyes sparkled. You should come with me to the Happy Hotel. It's safer than standing in a crater in the middle of Pentagram City. Happy Hotel? In hell? Naruto couldn't hide his skepticism. Well, technically it's the Hazbin Hotel now, but I'm trying to rebrand. Charlie rubbed her neck sheepishly. It's a redemption center. I'm trying to rehabilitate sinners. Redemption? In hell? Naruto repeated, even more confused. Charlie grinned. You say that exactly like everyone else does. Come on, I'll explain on the way. She pointed to the horizon where more demons were gathering. Unless you'd rather stay and keep fighting every hungry demon in the Eastern District. Naruto glanced at the approaching horde, then back at the strange princess. His ninja instinct screamed caution, but something about her seemed genuinely good. Which made no sense for hell. Fine, he decided. Lead the way. The hotel was exactly the kind of bizarre structure Naruto would expect in a nightmare. Towering and Victorian, with impossible angles and glowing sigils, it somehow looked both welcoming and menacing at the same time. Home sweet home. Charlie announced, pushing open the doors. Everyone, we have a visitor. About time you got back, drawled a tall, slender spider-like demon with mismatched eyes and fluffy chest fur. We thought maybe you'd, hello, hot stuff. His attention shifted instantly to Naruto, multiple eyes widening appreciatively. Angel, boundaries, Charlie reminded him. This is Naruto. He's, visiting hell. Accidentally. Accidentally, huh? Angel dust slinked closer. Need someone to show you around, Blondie. I know all the best spots. Back off, Angel, snapped a one-eyed girl with long white hair, who'd appeared at Charlie's side. Can't you see he's disoriented? She turned to Naruto. I'm Vaggie. Sorry about him. Well, well. Our princess returns with quite the fascinating specimen. The voice came from a tall, red-clad demon with a permanent grin, deer-like features, and a microphone staff. He moved with unnatural fluidity, suddenly appearing beside Naruto. A living mortal, if I'm not mistaken. How delightfully unusual. Naruto tensed, feeling danger radiating from this creature. This is Alastor, the radio demon, Charlie introduced him. He's helping with the hotel. Sort of. Charmed. Alastor extended his hand. Naruto hesitated but shook it, grip firm. Nice to meet you. Oh ho. A strong handshake. Alastor's smile somehow widened further. I like this one already. Hey, who's making all the noise? Grumbled a winged cat demon behind the bar. Some of us are trying to drink in peace. That's Husk, Charlie explained. And somewhere around here is Nifty, but she moves fast. As if summoned, a tiny cyclops with a 50s housewife aesthetic zipped into view, circling Naruto at dizzying speed. New guest. Boy. Young. Handsome. Needs cleaning. I'm fine, thanks, Naruto said, stepping back from the hyperactive demon. So, Vaggie cut in, Charlie said you're here accidentally. What does that mean exactly? All eyes turned to him, varying degrees of suspicion and curiosity evident. Naruto sighed, running a hand through his spiky blonde hair. I'm a shinobi, a ninja, from Konohagakure. I was investigating a strange temple when some symbols reacted to my blood and opened a portal. Next thing I know, I'm crashing into hell. He still couldn't quite believe it. Now I need to find a way back. A ninja, eh? Angel dust perked up. So you're flexible? Angel. Vaggie snapped. What? It's a legitimate question. Naruto ignored the exchange. Look, I appreciate the help, but I can't stay. People depend on me back home. Charlie's face fell. Of course, but, interdimensional travel isn't exactly easy. Even for demons, moving between realms requires immense power or specific gateways. The princess is right, Alastor interjected, static crackling around him. The barriers between hell and the mortal realm are quite firm. Designed that way, you understand. They speak truth, Kurama said inside Naruto's mind. I can sense no immediate way back. Damn it. Naruto's fist slammed into the wall, cracking the plaster. The room fell silent. Whoa, strong, Angel Dust muttered appreciatively. Charlie approached Naruto cautiously. We'll help you get home. I promise. But it might take some time to figure out how. And in the meantime, Alastor said, circling them both, you'll need safe harbor. Hell is no place for the living, especially one as distinctive as yourself. What Al means, Vaggie translated, is that powerful demons will sense you're alive and come hunting. The hotel is probably the safest place for now. Naruto looked around at the strange group. His ninja training told him to be suspicious, but his instincts, which had rarely led him wrong, suggested Charlie was sincere. Fine, he conceded. I'll stay. For now. Wonderful. Charlie clapped her hands. Let me show you to a room. We have plenty since we don't have many, guests yet. As they headed upstairs, Alastor watched them go, his smile unchanging but his eyes calculating. Once they were out of earshot, he turned to a shadowy corner. What do you think? He asked seemingly no one. A shadow demon materialized, whispering in static-filled tones. Yes, indeed, Alastor agreed. Our princess has found something quite unexpected. The timing is interesting. He chuckled, a sound like old radio tubes warming up. Let's keep a close eye on our ninja friend, shall we? This performance is just getting started. So this is your room. Charlie pushed open the door to reveal a surprisingly normal-looking bedroom. Bathrooms through there, closet here. Don't mind the occasional screaming from the walls, the hotel's partly sentient. Partly what now? Naruto asked, but Charlie was already moving on. Dinner's at 6, but we have snacks downstairs if you get hungry before then. Oh, and don't open windows after midnight. That's when the soul stealers come out. Naruto sat heavily on the bed, information overload setting in. This is insane. Charlie paused, her perpetual cheerfulness dimming slightly. I know it's a lot. Hell's not an easy place even for demons, much less a living human. She sat beside him, keeping a respectful distance. But I meant what I said, we'll help you get home. Why? Naruto asked bluntly. Why would the princess of Hell help some random guy who fell through a portal? Charlie considered the question. Because helping people is what I do. Or try to, anyway. She smiled ruefully. Most demons think my redemption project is a joke. Maybe it is. But I have to try. Naruto studied her. Despite the setting, despite her obvious demonic features, Charlie radiated a familiar quality, a stubborn optimism he recognized from his own reflection. Redemption for demons, he mused. You're trying to send them to heaven. That's the goal. Her enthusiasm returned. No one believes it's possible, but I think everyone deserves a chance to be better, even demons. Naruto found himself smiling. Where I come from, I know a few people who'd agree with you. Really? Charlie brightened. Yeah. My sensei, Irika. My friend Gaara. They both believe people can change. He thought of Zabuza, of Nagato. I've seen it happen. See? Charlie bounced excitedly. That's what I'm talking about. If humans can change, why not demons? Her passion was infectious. For the first time since arriving in Hell, Naruto felt something like hope. So, he said, while I'm stuck here, what's the plan? Well, I was thinking, a crash from downstairs interrupted her. Shouting followed, then the distinctive sound of Alastor's radio-filtered laughter. Charlie sighed. First, maybe I should introduce you to our staff properly. Then we can talk about finding you a way home. She stood, offering her hand. Deal. This time, Naruto took it. Deal. Downstairs had descended into typical hotel chaos. Angel Dust was draped dramatically over the bar counter while Husk steadfastly ignored him. Nifty zoomed around cleaning invisible dust. Alastor appeared to be antagonizing Vaggie, who looked ready to impale him with her spear. Everyone. Charlie called, clapping for attention. Since Naruto's staying with us for a while, I thought we should properly get to know each other. Ooh, slumber party games. Angel perked up. I vote for spin the bottle. No games, Vaggie said firmly. And no funny business, got it? You're no fun, Toots. Naruto cleared his throat. I just wanted to say thanks for letting me stay here. In my village, hospitality means a lot. Think nothing of it, my boy. Alastor appeared beside him, slinging an arm around his shoulders. We so rarely get new entertainment. Naruto smoothly stepped out of Alastor's grip. I'm not here for anyone's entertainment. I'm here to find a way home. Of course, of course. Alastor didn't seem offended. But while you're searching, perhaps you could satisfy my curiosity. Those fascinating copies of yourself you created during that street skirmish, how exactly does that work? It's a ninja technique, Naruto explained cautiously. Shadow clone jutsu. We use chakra, life energy, to create physical duplicates. Fascinating. Alastor's eyes gleamed. And that swirling energy ball? Rasengan. Another technique. Could you perhaps demonstrate? For educational purposes. Charlie stepped between them. Al, maybe let him settle in first before turning this into a power demonstration. Nonsense. What better way to understand our guest than to see his abilities? Alastor swept his arm, and furniture slid aside, creating an open space in the lobby. A small demonstration, nothing more. Naruto exchanged glances with Charlie, who shrugged apologetically. He gets like this. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's fine, Naruto said. A demonstration might actually help establish some respect. In hell, power seemed to be the universal language. Just a small one. He stepped into the cleared space and formed a familiar hand sign. Shadow clone jutsu. With a poof of smoke, 5 identical Narutos appeared. Angel Dust whistled. Hot damn. The possibilities. Focus, Vaggie hissed at him. The clones moved independently, each showing off basic taijutsu moves. Then, working together, one clone helped form a Rasengan in Naruto's palm, a swirling ball of blue chakra that illuminated the room. Remarkable. Alastor leaned closer, his microphone staff recording the energy's frequency. And this energy you call chakra, it's a combination of physical and spiritual energy, yes? Naruto dispelled the Rasengan, surprised. How did you know that? My dear boy, I've existed for quite some time. One picks up knowledge about various energies. Alastor circled him. What's truly fascinating is how your energy interacts with Hell's ambient power. Naruto frowned. What do you mean? Charlie stepped forward. He's right. When you use your techniques, the demonic energy around you shifts. I noticed it earlier when you fought those demons. Shifts how? Naruto asked. It's hard to explain. It's like. Charlie searched for words. Like oil and water separating. Your energy pushes Hell's energy aside, creates a clean space. That ain't normal, Husk commented, seemingly interested despite himself. Nothing purifies Hell's taint. It's kinda the whole point of this place. Alastor's grin widened impossibly. Which begs the question, what exactly are you, Naruto Uzumaki? Be careful, Kit, Kurama warned. The dear demon is probing for weaknesses. I'm a shinobi of the leaf, Naruto answered firmly. That's all you need to know. An uncomfortable silence fell, broken when one of the ancient artifacts decorating the hotel lobby suddenly reacted. A crystalline orb on a pedestal began to glow, pulsing in rhythm with Naruto's heartbeat. That's never happened before, Charlie said, approaching the artifact cautiously. It's responding to him, Vaggie observed. The orb's light intensified when Naruto stepped closer. Ancient symbols, similar to those he'd seen at the temple, appeared on its surface. Those markings, he murmured. They look like the ones that opened the portal. Alastor's eyes narrowed, though his smile never faltered. How extraordinarily convenient that our guest happens to activate a relic even I couldn't decipher. Charlie touched the orb carefully. It's warm. And these symbols, they look like old Enochian script. You know what? Angel Dust asked, peering over her shoulder. Angel language, Charlie explained. From before the fall. As she spoke, the orb pulsed brighter, and Naruto felt something stir within him, not Kurama, but something deeper, something he'd never noticed before. A warmth spread from his core, and for a brief moment, everyone in the room swore they saw a flicker of light emanate from him. Well, fuck me sideways, Husk muttered. The kid's glowing. I'm what? Naruto looked down at his hands, but the glow had already faded. Charlie stared at him with wide eyes, a strange mix of awe and understanding dawning on her face. Naruto, what do you know about your parents? The question caught him off guard. My father was the fourth Hokage. My mother was Kushina Uzumaki, from the Whirlpool country. They died the day I was born. He frowned. Why? Charlie glanced at Alastor, who for once seemed genuinely surprised rather than calculating. Because I think we might know why that portal brought you to hell specifically. She took a deep breath. And why my father suddenly started talking about the Prince of Hope returning. In the highest tower of Pentagram City, Lucifer Magna stood by a massive window, watching the unusual energy signature that had appeared in his realm. Unlike most demons, Lucifer's form was elegant, almost angelic, a reminder of what he once was before the fall. A figure materialized from shadows behind him. Is it true? Has the heir finally arrived? It would seem so, Lucifer replied without turning. After all this time. Will you go to him? Not yet. Lucifer watched as the energy moved toward his daughter's hotel. Let Charlotte make the connection first. She's always been more approachable. And if he rejects his heritage? If he refuses his role? At this, Lucifer finally turned, his eyes glowing with ancient power. The balance must be restored, one way or another. Hell cannot sustain itself much longer without its counterpart to hope. The shadow bowed and retreated, leaving Lucifer alone once more. He returned his gaze to the distant hotel, a rare expression of uncertainty crossing his features. So much like your mother, he whispered to the ether. Let's see if you have her courage, and her compassion. Night fell over hell, though the crimson sky merely darkened rather than transformed. Naruto stood on the hotel's roof, trying to process everything Charlie had told him. According to her, an ancient prophecy spoke of hell's true heir, not just Lucifer's offspring, but a being born of both angelic and human essence, who would bring balance to the realms by embodying hope in a place of despair. It's insane, he muttered. I'm not some angelic prince. Are you so sure? Kurama rumbled. I've always sensed something unusual in your chakra, beyond your parents' legacy or my power. Not you too, Naruto groaned. Look, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage of the Hidden Leaf. Not whatever they think I am. Talking to your roommate? Charlie's voice came from behind him. Naruto turned to find her approaching with 2 steaming mugs. Something like that. Thought you might like some hot chocolate. She offered him a cup decorated with cartoon bats. It helps me think when things get overwhelming. Thanks. He accepted it, finding the warmth comforting. So, this Prince of Hope thing. Charlie leaned against the railing beside him. I know it's a lot to take in. And honestly, I don't have all the answers either. My dad isn't exactly forthcoming with information. Even if it were true, why would anyone hide my heritage from me? Plenty of people knew my parents. Sometimes people hide things to protect those they love. Charlie sipped her chocolate. Or because they're afraid of what might happen if the truth got out. They stood in companionable silence for a moment, watching the strange constellations of Hell's night sky. Your fox spirit, Charlie said finally. He seems protective of you. Kurama. Yeah, we've been through a lot together. Naruto smiled slightly. Wasn't always that way though. We used to hate each other. Really? What changed? Understanding, I guess. We both stopped seeing each other as enemies and started seeing each other as partners. Naruto's expression softened. He's been with me since birth. Saved my life more times than I can count. Charlie smiled. That's beautiful. Most demons never form connections like that. They're too afraid of appearing weak. Where I come from, bonds make you stronger, not weaker. I've always thought the same thing. Charlie's eyes lit up. That's partly why I started the hotel. I believe demons can form meaningful connections if given the chance. The conversation flowed easily after that. Naruto told her about Konoha, about his friends and his journey to be acknowledged. Charlie shared stories of growing up as Hell's princess, of her dream to redeem sinners despite universal mockery. You know, Naruto said eventually, you remind me of myself a few years ago. Everyone thought my dream was impossible too. And now? Now they know better. He grinned. Sometimes the impossible just takes a little longer. Charlie laughed, a sound that seemed to lighten the very air around them. I'm starting to see why you might fit that prophecy after all, Naruto Uzumaki. I didn't say I believe it, he protested. You don't have to. Charlie stood, stretching. Belief can come later. For now, maybe we focus on getting you home and figuring out why that temple connected to Hell in the first place. Naruto nodded. That sounds like a plan I can get behind. As Charlie headed back inside, Naruto remained a moment longer, studying the bizarre landscape of Hell. Somewhere out there were answers, about the portal, about why these demons thought he was some prophesied prince, and most importantly, about how to get home. But for the first time since arriving, he felt a strange sense of purpose. Whether Charlie's Redemption Hotel or this Prince of Hope business, something bigger was happening. And as usual, he'd landed right in the middle of it. Just my luck, he muttered, but he was smiling as he followed Charlie inside. Neither noticed the sleek, dark figure watching from a neighboring rooftop, eyes glowing with malevolent interest. So that's Lucifer's supposed savior, the figure whispered. Asmodeus will want to know about this immediately. The spy vanished into the night, leaving only a faint scent of brimstone behind. Dreams had never been particularly vivid for Naruto. Usually just fragments of memory or nonsensical images. But this dream felt different, crystal clear and strangely familiar. He stood in a pure white space, formless and endless. Before him knelt a glowing figure, features indistinct but radiating warmth and power. My child, the figure spoke, voice resonating on multiple frequencies simultaneously. You've finally come. Who are you? Naruto asked, finding himself unafraid despite the strangeness. You know me, the figure replied. I've been with you always, though sealed away until needed. The figure extended a hand, touching Naruto's chest. Where contact was made, his skin illuminated, revealing intricate patterns unlike any seal he'd seen before. The day you were born, when the fox was unleashed and your parents sacrificed themselves, I intervened. It was forbidden, direct interference in mortal affairs. My punishment was severe. The scene shifted, showing a fragmented memory, a hospital room, his mother dying, his father preparing the seal for Kurama. But now Naruto saw something new, a blinding light surrounding his infant self, pushing back the Nine-Tails' malevolence, strengthening his tiny body to receive the bijou. You're saying you... Naruto struggled to comprehend. You helped save me. I gave what remained of my essence to you, my descendant. The last of our bloodline. Our bloodline? You mean the Uzumaki clan? The figure seemed to smile. The Uzumaki were special because they descended from us. Powerful life force, unnatural longevity, supernatural chakra reserves. All echoes of a more ancient heritage. The white space rippled, showing flashes of history, beings of light walking among early humans, forbidden loves, children with remarkable abilities. The temple you found was one of our gateways, built when the realms were less separate. Your blood, our blood, awakened it. But why hell? Naruto asked. Why not, wherever you're from? Because balance must be restored. Hell has grown too powerful, too corrupt, even by its own standards. Without its counterbalance, the Prince of Hope, the realms risk collapse. The figure began to fade. I cannot maintain this connection long. But know this, what you discover in hell is as much your birthright as your father's legacy in the mortal world. Wait. Naruto reached out. I still don't understand. You will. The figure dissolved into particles of light that flowed into Naruto's chest. The princess will help you. Trust her. She too walks between worlds. Naruto jolted awake, sweat-soaked and breathing hard. Dawn's crimson light filtered through his window. The dream remained vivid in his mind, unlike normal dreams that faded upon waking. I saw it too, Kurama said quietly. There has always been something within you that even I could not identify. Something that allowed you to change those around you in ways no ordinary human could. You believe this? Naruto asked, incredulous. I've lived thousands of years, Kit. I've seen things that would shatter your understanding of reality. Is it so hard to believe your bloodline might be more extraordinary than you knew? Naruto fell back against his pillows, mind racing. His entire identity had been built around being Minato and Kushina's son, Konoha's Jinchuriki, future Hokage. If this was true... A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Naruto. Charlie's voice called. You awake? We've got a situation downstairs. He sighed. Existential crisis would have to wait. Coming. The situation turned out to be an unexpected visitor. A tall, elegantly dressed demon with multiple eyes and iridescent wings stood in the lobby, surrounded by guards in formal attire. Ah, there he is, the demon said as Naruto descended the stairs. The anomaly everyone's talking about. Charlie quickly moved to Naruto's side. Naruto, this is Vexus, lieutenant to Lord Asmodeus of the Lust Ring. Lord Asmodeus extends an invitation, Vexus announced, producing an envelope with a wax seal. He requests the pleasure of your company at his palace at your earliest convenience. That's nice of him, Naruto said carefully, not reaching for the envelope. But I'm kind of busy trying to find a way home. Vexus's smile didn't waver. Lord Asmodeus possesses extensive knowledge of interdimensional travel. He believes he may assist in your predicament. Alastor appeared suddenly, static crackling around him. How remarkably coincidental that Lord Asmodeus would take an interest in our guest so quickly. One might almost suspect he was already watching. Vexus turned cold eyes to Alastor. Radio Demon. Still playing hotelier, I see. How the mighty have fallen. Better a fall with style than crawling on one's belly, Alastor replied, his grin sharp. The tension in the room thickened. Naruto glanced at Charlie, who looked troubled. Thanks for the invitation, Naruto said, but if I go anywhere, it'll be with Charlie and her friends. I'm afraid Lord Asmodeus was quite specific, Vexus said, his tone hardening. The invitation is for you alone. I don't like this, Kurama growled. This demon reeks of deceit. Then I'll have to decline, Naruto stated firmly. Vexus's pleasant demeanor slipped. That would be unwise. Lord Asmodeus is not accustomed to refusal. Sounds like a personal problem, Naruto replied, crossing his arms. The guards tensed, hands moving to weapons. Angel Dust, who'd been watching from the bar, whistled low. Oh, this is gonna be good. Perhaps, Charlie intervened, we could arrange a meeting here. Neutral ground? Vexus considered this, multiple eyes blinking in sequence. That is, not ideal, but potentially acceptable. I will convey your counterproposal. He turned to leave, but paused at the door. A word of caution, mortal. In hell, power and allegiance define survival. Choose wisely whom you align with. His gaze shifted meaningfully to Charlie. Some factions are falling out of favor. With that ominous statement, Vexus and his entourage departed. Well, that was dramatic, Vaggie commented, joining them from where she'd been positioned near a weapon rack. Who's this Asmodeus guy? Naruto asked. And why is he so interested in me? Charlie frowned. Asmodeus is one of Hell's most powerful lords. Rules the Lust Ring, but his influence extends much further. He's been gaining power recently, challenging even my father's authority in certain matters. He's also a collector of rare things, Alastair added, twirling his microphone. Unique souls, unusual artifacts, forbidden knowledge. You, my living friend, would make quite the addition to his collection. Not helping, Al, Charlie sighed. I ain't no one's collection piece, Naruto said firmly. Of course not, Charlie assured him. But Asmodeus could be dangerous to refuse outright. If he really does have knowledge that could help you get home. We could check it out, Vaggie suggested reluctantly. Carefully. With backup. Naruto considered this. What do you think, Kurama? To everyone's surprise, the fox's voice emerged from Naruto, deep and rumbling. I think there's more happening than we understand. But knowledge is power, and we need both. Your friend has wisdom, Alastair commented, leaning on his staff. In hell, information is currency more valuable than souls. Charlie nodded decisively. Then it's settled. We'll meet with Asmodeus, but on our terms. Meanwhile, I want to look into that artifact that reacted to you yesterday. There might be clues about your heritage. Naruto grimaced at the reminder of his dream. About that. There's something I should tell you. As Naruto recounted his dream, Charlie's expression shifted from curiosity to awe. She paced the office where they'd retreated for privacy, occasionally stopping to jot notes or examine an ancient text. This confirms it, she said finally. The legends about the Prince of Hope, they all mention an angelic essence passed down through mortal bloodlines. But it doesn't make sense, Naruto protested. I'm not special that way. I mean, yeah, I have Kurama, but that's different. Is it? Charlie approached, studying him intently. Think about it, your extraordinary healing, your ability to change people's hearts, the way you never give up no matter how hopeless things seem. Haven't you ever wondered why you affect people so deeply? Naruto shifted uncomfortably. That's just who I am. Exactly. Charlie smiled gently. Who you are, at your core, has always been shaped by this essence. It's not separate from you, it's part of you. From the corner, Vaggie spoke up. If this is true, it explains why demons reacted so strongly to him. Why Asmodeus is already making moves. And why my father suddenly started talking about balance, Charlie added thoughtfully. Naruto ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Even if all this is true, it doesn't change my priority. I need to get home. People are counting on me. Of course, Charlie agreed quickly. But understanding your connection to hell might be the key to finding your way back. A knock interrupted them. Angel Dust poked his head in. Hate to break up the supernatural family reunion, but we got another problem. Folks are gathering outside. They rushed to the window. A crowd had formed beyond the hotel gates, demons of all shapes and sizes, some looking curious, others hostile. Word spreads fast, Vaggie muttered. They're here for him, Angel said, pointing at Naruto. Rumors all over town about a living human with special powers. Some are saying he's the prince from the old stories. Charlie bit her lip. This is happening faster than I expected. Maybe I should talk to them, Naruto suggested. Clear things up. That's either very brave or very stupid, Vaggie commented. I vote stupid, Angel added helpfully. Alastor materialized beside them, startling everyone. Actually, a public appearance might be precisely what's needed. Control the narrative, as they say. Charlie considered this. Al might be right. If you hide, it only feeds speculation. But if you present yourself on your own terms. Naruto nodded. Let's do it. Minutes later, they stood on the hotel's front steps. The crowd quieted as Charlie stepped forward. Citizens of Pentagram City, she began, her royal upbringing evident in her commanding tone. You've heard rumors about our guest. Yes, he is a living human who came to Hell through unusual circumstances. Yes, he possesses remarkable abilities. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Charlie continued, but he is under the protection of the Happy Hotel and, by extension, the royal family of Hell. This caused louder reactions, some fearful, others skeptical. Is he really the Prince of Hope? Called a demon near the front. Before Charlie could answer, Naruto stepped forward. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I'm a shinobi from the Hidden Leaf Village. I ended up here by accident, and I'm trying to find a way home. He paused, looking out at the sea of demonic faces. I don't know anything about being a prince. Where I come from, we believe people make their own destiny through hard work and determination. A demon scoffed. Pretty words, but that's not how Hell works, kid. Maybe it should, Naruto replied without hesitation. Where I come from, I've seen the worst people find redemption. I've seen enemies become friends. I've seen hate transformed into understanding. As he spoke, something strange happened. The air around him seemed to lighten, the perpetual red haze of Hell receding slightly. Demons in the front row shifted uncomfortably, some backing away as if his words physically affected them. I don't know why I'm here, Naruto continued, unaware of the effect he was having. But while I am, I'll help Charlie with her hotel. Because I believe in what she's trying to do. Everyone deserves a second chance, even demons. Silence fell after his words. Then, unexpectedly, a small imp child pushed through the crowd. She approached the steps, ignoring the hisses of warning from those around her. Are you really going to help us? She asked, looking up at Naruto with eyes that held a spark of something rare in Hell, hope. Naruto knelt to her level, smiling gently. I'll try my best. The child reached out hesitantly, touching his hand. Where their skin connected, a soft glow appeared. The imp gasped, pulling back to examine her own hand, which seemed somehow less red, less corrupted. Whispers erupted through the crowd. Some demons pushed forward, eager to see more. Others retreated, clearly disturbed. I think that's enough for today, Charlie announced, moving protectively beside Naruto. The hotel remains open to any seeking redemption. As they retreated inside, the crowd began to disperse, though many lingered, discussing what they'd witnessed. What just happened? Naruto asked once the doors closed behind them. Alastor studied him with unusual seriousness. You, my fascinating friend, just demonstrated exactly why Hell's power players will either want to use you or destroy you. Your energy, Charlie explained, still looking amazed. It temporarily purified that child's demonic corruption. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't do anything special, Naruto protested. That's just it, Charlie said. You didn't try to do anything. It happened naturally. Which means, it's who you are, Vaggie finished quietly. Naruto stared at his hand, remembering the glow, the child's wonder. Something inside him, that presence from his dream, seemed to stir in recognition. Well, shit, he finally said. Angel Dust clapped him on the back. Welcome to hell, Prince Charming. Things just got a whole lot more interesting. News spread through Hell's circles like wildfire. By evening, Charlie had received messages from 3 overlords, 2 ring lords, and even a cryptic note from her father requesting updates. Your stock is rising, Alastor told Naruto with amusement as they sat in the hotel's dining room. Nothing Hell loves more than a potential power shift. I don't want power, Naruto replied, picking at his food. Hell's cuisine was unique. I just want answers. Sometimes they're the same thing, Alastor responded cryptically. Charlie entered, looking exhausted but excited. I've been researching the artifacts in the hotel's collection. I found something. She placed an ancient scroll on the table. The parchment seemed to shimmer slightly, the text changing languages depending on the viewing angle. It's a fragment of the original prophecy, she explained. Most of it was lost during the Second Celestial War, but this piece survived. Naruto leaned forward, examining the text. To his surprise, he could read it, though he'd never seen the language before. When despair rules the fallen realm, hope shall incarnate through mortal vessel, he read aloud. The prince born of 2 worlds shall walk the path of balance, bearing the mark of the spiral sun. His hand unconsciously moved to his stomach, where the seal containing Kurama spiraled outward. That can't be coincidence, Vaggie murmured. There's more, Charlie said. It mentions a trial. The prince must unite the 9 aspects to fully awaken his power and restore balance. 9 aspects? Naruto frowned. What does that mean? Unclear, Charlie admitted. But given your connection to the 9-tailed fox. Humph, Kurama grumbled audibly. I am no one's aspect. Of course not, Charlie quickly assured the fox. But there might be a connection we don't fully understand yet. Naruto sighed, feeling the weight of yet another destiny pressing down on him. Great. More cryptic prophecy stuff. Just what I needed. Charlie placed a gentle hand on his arm. Hey, I know this is overwhelming. But you don't have to figure it all out tonight. She smiled encouragingly. One step at a time, right? Her touch was warm, grounding. Naruto found himself returning her smile despite his frustration. Right. First step, meet this Asmodeus guy and see if he really can help me get home. About that, Charlie said. He's agreed to meet here tomorrow. Neutral ground, as we suggested. Good. Naruto stood, stretching. Then I should get some rest. Something tells me tomorrow's gonna be a long day. As he headed upstairs, Charlie watched him go, a thoughtful expression on her face. You like him, Vaggie observed quietly, coming to stand beside her. He's different, Charlie admitted. When he speaks, I can almost see what hell could be like with a little hope. Be careful, Vaggie warned. We still don't know everything about him or why he's really here. Charlie nodded absently, her gaze still fixed on where Naruto had disappeared. I know. But for the first time since I started this hotel, I feel like maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe redemption is possible. Just promise me you'll stay alert tomorrow, Vaggie insisted. Asmodeus doesn't make social calls without ulterior motives. I promise. Charlie squeezed her girlfriend's hand reassuringly. From the shadows, Alastor watched their exchange, his ever-present smile containing a rare hint of genuine interest. Things were developing in ways even he hadn't anticipated. The game board was changing, new pieces appearing. How delightfully unpredictable, he murmured to himself. Morning in hell brought no sunshine, only a slightly brighter crimson glow to the perpetual haze. Naruto awoke early, his body trained to rise with the sun even in this strange realm. He spent an hour meditating, centering himself and communing with Kurama. You should be wary of this meeting, the fox advised. I sense great power approaching, ancient and corrupt. I will be, Naruto promised. But if there's any chance this Asmodeus knows how to get us home. Just remember, kid, in hell, nothing comes without a price. Dressed and prepared, Naruto headed downstairs to find the hotel in a flurry of activity. Nifty zoomed about cleaning at superhuman speed. Angel Dust was actually wearing a somewhat modest outfit. Husk had traded his usual bottle for a glass of something that looked expensive. The big boss is really coming here? Angel asked Charlie, who was directing the preparations. Like, seriously? Yes, and I need everyone on their best behavior, Charlie stressed. Asmodeus rarely leaves his territory, so this is significant. Significant like we might all get destroyed if things go south, Vaggie muttered, checking her weapons discreetly. Alastair seemed the only one unconcerned, lounging comfortably in an armchair. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing old Asmodeus. It's been decades since our last disagreement. No confrontations today, Al, Charlie warned. This is diplomatic. My dear princess, diplomacy is merely theater with better costumes. But he nodded in acquiescence. I shall be on my most charming behavior. That's what worries me, Charlie sighed. Naruto approached her. Anything I should know before this meeting? Just be yourself, Charlie advised. But maybe dial back the purification thing if possible. Some demons find it uncomfortable. I'll try, though I'm not sure how I did it in the first place. Further conversation halted as the hotel's front doors swung open, revealing Vexus. The lieutenant bowed formally. Announcing Lord Asmodeus, Prince of the Lust Ring, Keeper of Forbidden Pleasures, the Desired and Desiring. The figure that entered radiated power in a way that made the air itself seem to bend around him. Tall and elegant, Asmodeus appeared almost human at first glance, handsome in a classical way, with flowing hair and perfect features. But his eyes glowed with inner fire, and when he moved, there was a fluid grace that no human could possess. Princess Charlotte, he greeted, his voice melodious yet somehow unsettling. How kind of you to host our meeting. Charlie curtsied slightly. Lord Asmodeus. Welcome to the Happy Hotel. His gaze swept the room, acknowledging each person with a slight nod until it landed on Naruto. His smile widened. And here he is. The human who fell into hell. Asmodeus approached, studying Naruto with undisguised interest. Fascinating. You're even more remarkable up close. Naruto met his gaze steadily. I hear you might know something about how I can get home. Direct, aren't we? I appreciate that. Asmodeus chuckled. Yes, I believe I can help you. But first, let's sit and become acquainted. I so rarely get to meet new souls. They moved to the hotel's sitting room, arranged around an ornate coffee table. Servants materialized to serve drinks, though Naruto noticed Charlie subtly signal him not to consume anything. So, Asmodeus began, lounging gracefully. Tell me how you came to be here, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto recounted his experience at the temple, keeping the explanation simple and omitting details about his dream or the prophecy Charlie had shown him. A fascinating tale, Asmodeus commented when he finished. Ancient gateways opening to specific bloodlines. Almost as if hell were calling to you. I don't think hell was calling to me specifically, Naruto countered. No. Asmodeus raised an elegant eyebrow. Then perhaps it's mere coincidence that you arrived just as rumors of the Prince of Hope resurface. Just as our dear princess's redemption project gains traction. Just as power balances throughout the 9 rings begin to shift. His gaze flicked to Charlie. Your father has been unusually active lately, princess. One might almost think he's preparing for something significant. My father's activities are his own affair, Charlie replied diplomatically. Of course. Asmodeus returned his attention to Naruto. But you didn't come to discuss politics. You want to go home. That's right, Naruto confirmed. Can you help or not? I can. Asmodeus leaned forward. The portal that brought you here is part of an ancient network. Most were sealed during the early wars, but a few remain functional. I happen to possess one. You have a portal to the human world? Charlie asked, surprise evident in her voice. I have access to many things, Princess. Asmodeus smiled mysteriously. Benefits of being older than most can imagine. So you'll let me use it? Naruto pressed. I would be happy to, under certain conditions. Here it comes, Kurama rumbled. What conditions? Naruto asked cautiously. Asmodeus steepled his fingers. First, I would require a demonstration of your abilities. The purification power you exhibited yesterday is of particular interest. I told you, I don't even know how I did that. All the more reason to explore it in a controlled environment, Asmodeus countered smoothly. Second, I would request a small sample of your blood for study. Charlie straightened. Blood magic is restricted under the ninth accord. Mere academic interest, I assure you, Asmodeus replied, though his smile suggested otherwise. And finally, I would ask for your assistance with a small matter in my territory. Nothing too taxing, just a minor disturbance that your unique talents might resolve efficiently. And in return? Naruto asked. In return, I provide safe passage home through my portal, plus my personal guarantee of non-interference should you ever return to Hell. The offer hung in the air. Naruto glanced at Charlie, who looked troubled. I need to think about it, he said finally. Of course. Asmodeus rose gracefully. Take time to consider. Hell has waited eons for balance, it can wait a day longer. He produced an ornate card, placing it on the table. When you decide, simply speak my name while holding this. I'll come. With that, he bowed to the room. Princess, it's been illuminating. Alastor, staying out of trouble, I trust. One does one's best, Alastor replied, his smile sharp. Asmodeus departed as dramatically as he'd arrived, leaving an unsettled atmosphere behind. Well, he was certainly intense, Angel Dust commented, breaking the silence. He's lying, Vaggie stated flatly. About the portal, about his intentions, all of it. Not necessarily lying, Alastor corrected, twirling his microphone thoughtfully. Our lustful lord rarely deals in outright falsehoods. Half-truths and omissions are more his style. You think he really has a portal? Naruto asked. Oh, I've no doubt he has access to something of the sort, Alastor confirmed. The question is whether it goes where he claims and what using it might cost beyond his stated conditions. Charlie had been unusually quiet. Now she looked up, expression serious. Naruto, there's something you should know about Asmodeus. He's been collecting angelic artifacts for centuries, fragments of wings, halos, weapons. No one knows why. You think he wants my blood because of this Prince of Hope thing? I think it's suspicious that he's suddenly so helpful, Charlie said carefully. And his request for you to handle a disturbance in his territory, that could be anything. Naruto picked up Asmodeus's card, examining it. The paper seemed to pull slightly against his fingers. I don't trust him, he admitted. But if he really does have a way home. There are other ways, Kurama spoke up. This realm has multiple connections to the mortal world. We need not leap at the first offer, especially one with so many strings. The fox is right, Alastor agreed, surprising everyone. Patience is a virtue even in hell. And speaking of virtues, I believe our princess has been conducting research of her own. All eyes turned to Charlie, who hesitated before nodding. I contacted some sources last night. There's a place called the Nexus deep in the neutral territories. Legend says it's a junction point between realms where the barriers are naturally thinner. Why didn't you mention this before? Naruto asked. Because it's in contested territory, Baggy explained. No man's land between the rings. Extremely dangerous. And reaching it requires passing through the ashen wastes, Charlie added reluctantly. Which is a suicide mission, Husk finished bluntly from his position at the bar. Nothing survives in the wastes. Not even demons. So those are my choices. Naruto summarized. Trust a suspicious demon lord or trek through hell's deadliest regions. Welcome to hell, Toots, Angel Dust said sympathetically. Where all choices are bad choices. Charlie approached Naruto, determination in her eyes. There's another option. We keep looking. We research. We find another way. That could take time I don't have, Naruto argued. My friends could be in danger. Konoha needs me. I know. Charlie placed her hand over his, where he still held Asmodeus's card. But rushing into either option could be worse than waiting a little longer. The card suddenly grew warm under their joined hands. Symbols appeared on its surface, glowing briefly before fading. What was that? Naruto asked, startled. Charlie pulled her hand back, examining her palm where a faint mark had appeared. I don't know. But I don't like it. Alastor moved closer, studying the mark. How curious. It appears our friend Asmodeus left a little tracking charm. Quite sophisticated. Can you remove it? Charlie asked, looking concerned. Naturally. Alastor snapped his fingers, and the mark faded from Charlie's palm. But the fact he employed such measures suggests our lustful lord is more invested in our princely friend than he let on. Naruto stared at the card, then decisively pocketed it. I'll keep this for now. Might be useful to have a direct line to him if needed. Just don't use it unless absolutely necessary, Charlie cautioned. Meanwhile, we'll look for alternatives. Naruto nodded, though frustration showed in his expression. Fine. But I can't wait forever. As the group dispersed to various tasks, Charlie lingered beside him. I know you're worried about your home. I want to help, really. I believe you. Naruto managed a smile. And honestly, if I'm stuck in hell for a while, I'm glad it's with you guys. You're not what I expected demons to be like. Charlie beamed. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about us. Their moment was interrupted by a sudden crash from outside. Rushing to the window, they saw a commotion near the hotel gates, demons fighting, magic flaring. Looks like word of your presence is causing some faction disputes, Charlie observed worriedly. Naruto watched the conflict with a frown. I'm bringing trouble to your door. Trouble's always at my door, Charlie replied lightly. It's hell, remember? But now at least it's interesting trouble. Despite everything, Naruto found himself laughing. Charlie had an optimism that rivaled his own, no small feat in a place literally designed for suffering. I like her, Kurama commented privately. For a demon, she has an unusually bright soul. Naruto silently agreed, watching as Charlie directed Vaggie and Angel Dust to disperse the fighting crowd. There was something special about Hell's princess, something that resonated with whatever was awakening inside him. Whether he was this Prince of Hope or not, one thing was becoming clear, his arrival in Hell wasn't just about finding a way home anymore. Something bigger was unfolding, and Charlie Morningstar was at the center of it alongside him. For now, that was enough to go on. Deep in his palace of pleasure and pain, Asmodeus examined the glowing essence he'd collected from his brief contact with Naruto. Fascinating, he murmured. The angelic signature is unmistakable, but changed, adapted to mortal form over generations. His lieutenant, Vexus, observed from a respectful distance. Is he truly the prince from the prophecy? Oh yes. Asmodeus placed the essence in an ornate container where it joined dozens of similar specimens, all glowing with variations of the same light. And his arrival couldn't be more perfectly timed. For our plans. For everything. Asmodeus closed the container, turning to a massive map of hell displayed on the wall. Certain areas pulsed with light, forming a pattern only he could interpret. Thousands of years collecting fragments, waiting for the catalyst. And the boy is that catalyst? Asmodeus smiled, a terrible beautiful expression. He is the final piece. Lucifer believes his return will restore balance, strengthen hell's foundations. The princess thinks he'll bring redemption. And the truth? The truth? Asmodeus laughed softly. The truth is that hope is the most dangerous force in any realm. Properly harnessed, it doesn't redeem hell. His eyes glowed with ancient hunger. It transforms it into something entirely new. Something even heaven will tremble before. The map pulsed in response to his words, the pattern spreading like a virus across hell's 9 rings. Prepare the chamber, Asmodeus commanded. Our prince will be joining us soon, whether he chooses to or not. Vexus bowed and departed, leaving Asmodeus to contemplate the power he would soon possess. The power to reshape not just hell, but all the connected realms. After all, he whispered to the glowing essences, what is hope but the most seductive form of desire? Chapter 2, Between Heaven and Hell. Naruto ducked as a fireball screamed past his head, singeing his hair. That's cheating, he yelled, rolling to avoid another blast from a grinning Charlie. No such thing as cheating in hell, she called back, her hands glowing with crimson energy. Demons don't play fair. 3 days had passed since Asmodeus's visit, and Charlie had insisted on adaptation training to help Naruto survive hell's unique dangers. Today's lesson, dealing with hell's bizarre physics. Fine, you wanna play dirty? Naruto formed his signature hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. A dozen Narutos appeared, surrounding Charlie. She laughed, clearly enjoying herself, and snapped her fingers. The ground beneath half the clones suddenly turned to liquid, swallowing them. Rule 1 of Hell, she reminded him as the clones disappeared in puffs of smoke. Reality is negotiable. Naruto grinned despite himself. The training sessions with Charlie had quickly become his favorite part of being stuck in hell. She approached combat like a dance, playful yet effective, never truly trying to hurt him but never holding back enough to make victory easy. The remaining clones charged. Charlie spun gracefully, her form briefly shifting into something more demonic, taller, sharper, with small horns visible through her blonde hair. She dispatched the clones effortlessly. Impressive, Vaggie commented from the sidelines. She's usually not this good. She's showing off, Angel Dust replied with a knowing smirk. Wonder why? While Charlie was distracted with the clones, Naruto circled behind her. Rasengan, he called, lunging forward with the swirling ball of chakra. Charlie spun just in time, her eyes widening at the approaching technique. Instead of dodging, she raised her hand, summoning a shield of crimson energy. The Rasengan collided with her shield. For a moment, they were locked in stalemate, energy swirling where blue met red. Then something unexpected happened. Where the energies touched, they began to blend, creating a purple spiral that expanded outward. The combination sent shockwaves through the training ground, knocking both fighters back. Holy shit, Angel whispered as dust cleared to reveal a perfect spiral pattern etched into the ground between Naruto and Charlie. That was. Charlie stared at the pattern, then at her hands, which still tingled with residual energy. I've never seen demonic power interact with anything like that before. Naruto approached the spiral cautiously. Kurama, what was that? Something new, the fox replied, his voice audible to everyone present. Your chakra and her demonic energy should have repelled each other. Instead, they merged. Fascinating. Alastor appeared suddenly beside the spiral, examining it through a monocle that materialized in his hand. A perfect fusion of opposing energies. The implications are simply delicious. Naruto helped Charlie to her feet. You okay? I'm fine, she assured him, though her expression remained puzzled as she stared at where their hands touched. But that definitely wasn't normal, even for Hell. Vaggie approached, concern evident. Maybe you should both take a break. Are you kidding? Charlie's enthusiasm returned full force. This is amazing. We need to run more tests. More tests. Naruto groaned. We've been at this for hours. Just one more, Charlie pleaded, eyes wide and earnest. I want to see if we can reproduce that energy fusion deliberately. How could he say no to that face? Naruto sighed in defeat. Fine. One more. Yes. Charlie clapped excitedly. Angel, get the spectrograph. Vaggie, the grimoire. Al. Just don't make things weird. My dear, weird is relative in a place like this, Alasta replied, but stepped back to observe. As everyone scattered to prepare, Naruto took a moment to catch his breath. 3 days in Hell, and he was still no closer to finding a reliable way home. But he had to admit, it wasn't all bad. The hotel staff had become something like friends, especially Charlie. You're growing fond of the princess, Kurama observed privately. She's easy to like, Naruto replied mentally. Reminds me of myself when I was younger. Perhaps. But don't forget, Kit, your world needs you. The longer we stay here, the more danger Konoha could be in. I know. Naruto's expression sobered. But until we find a reliable way back, we might as well learn everything we can about this place. About, whatever I might be connected to here. Charlie returned, carrying what looked like a crystal attached to various mechanical components. Ready for round 2? She asked cheerfully. Naruto couldn't help but smile back. Ready when you are, princess. Later that evening, Naruto sat cross-legged on the hotel roof, deep in meditation. The crimson sky had darkened to a deep burgundy, Hell's version of night falling over the pentagram city. Strange constellations shone above, patterns no human astronomer had ever catalogued. He breathed deeply, focusing on his chakra flow while Kurama monitored the changes that had been occurring since their arrival in Hell. Your natural energy absorption has increased, the fox noted. Similar to Sage Mode, but different. You're pulling in Hell's ambient energy without trying. Is that dangerous? Naruto asked, eyes still closed. Not exactly dangerous, but transformative. Your chakra pathways are adapting, evolving to process this realm's power. Before Naruto could respond, the roof access door opened. Charlie emerged, carrying 2 steaming mugs. Thought you might want some hot chocolate, she said, settling beside him. It's getting chilly up here. Naruto opened his eyes, accepting the mug gratefully. Thanks. I didn't realize Hell had weather. Oh, we have all sorts of weather. Acid rain, blood storms, localized tornadoes. She sipped her drink. Today's actually pretty mild. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the city below. Demons went about their business, some partying, others fighting, all existing in the chaotic ecosystem that was Hell. So, Charlie finally said, that energy fusion today was pretty incredible. Yeah. Naruto stared into his mug. Kurama thinks my chakra is changing, adapting to Hell somehow. Charlie nodded thoughtfully. That makes sense. Living beings aren't meant to stay in Hell unchanged. Usually, the corruption takes over, turns them into sinners or lesser demons. But that's not happening to me. Just the opposite. You seem to be purifying Hell's energy rather than being corrupted by it. Charlie turned to face him fully. Naruto, I've been researching more about the Prince of Hope prophecy. Naruto sighed. Charlie. I know. You're skeptical. But hear me out. She set her mug down, eyes earnest. The original prophecy talks about the prince being a bridge between realms. Not just bringing hope to Hell, but creating actual physical connections. Like the portal that brought me here. Exactly. But more than that. According to the texts, the prince would be able to create new pathways between realms. Pathways that others could travel. Naruto's interest peaked despite his reservations. You're saying I might be able to create my own way home? Potentially, Charlie nodded. But it's not just about going home once. If the prophecy is true, you could create a permanent connection, come and go as you please. The possibility hung in the air between them. Naruto took another sip of chocolate, considering. Even if that's true, I have no idea how to make it happen. That's where the 9 aspects come in, Charlie explained. They're mentioned as keys to unlocking the prince's full abilities. 9 trials or challenges that awaken different facets of power. And you think these might be connected to the 9-tailed fox somehow? Unlikely, Kurama interjected. The bijou were created long after the celestial wars that established the barriers between realms. Maybe not directly connected, Charlie agreed, but perhaps symbolically aligned. 9 is a powerful number in cosmic magic. Naruto rubbed his temples. This is getting complicated. Welcome to divine prophecies, Charlie smiled sympathetically. They're never straightforward. They lapsed into silence again, finishing their drinks as the strange stars wheeled overhead. Can I ask you something personal? Charlie ventured after a while. Sure. What's it like, sharing your body with Kurama? The question surprised him. Most people either feared the 9 tails or saw him as a weapon, not as Naruto's companion. It's normal to me now, he answered honestly. For a long time, we were adversaries. I hated him for being sealed inside me, for the way people treated me because of him. He hated being imprisoned. That's putting it mildly, Kurama commented dryly. What changed? Charlie asked, genuinely curious. Understanding, Naruto said simply. Learning each other's pain, each other's history. Realizing we were stronger together than apart. He smiled slightly. Now I can't imagine life without his grumpy commentary in my head. Watch who you're calling grumpy, Kit. Charlie laughed. You two bicker like an old married couple. What about you? Naruto turned the question around. What's it like being Hell's princess? Charlie's smile faltered. Lonely, mostly. I'm not. Like other demons. My father is Lucifer himself, but my mother is a demon born in hell. I've always been caught between worlds, not fully accepted by the hellborn elite, feared by the sinners. Is that why you started the hotel? To find a place you belong? Partly, she admitted. But mostly because I genuinely believe hell can be better. That demons can be better, given the chance. That's a pretty radical belief for the princess of hell, Naruto observed. About as radical as a Jinchuriki wanting to become Hokage, Charlie countered with a knowing smile. Naruto laughed. Touché. A comfortable silence fell between them. Naruto found himself studying Charlie's profile in the strange starlight, her pale skin, expressive eyes, the small points of her teeth visible when she smiled. For a demon, she radiated a warmth that felt almost familiar. Naruto, Charlie said softly, breaking the silence. Whatever happens with this prophecy thing, whether you're the Prince of Hope or not. I'm glad you fell into hell. The simple honesty in her voice touched something in him. Yeah, he replied. Me too. As accidental vacations go, this one's not so bad. Their eyes met, a moment of connection that transcended their different origins. For a heartbeat, Naruto almost forgot he was trying to leave this place. The moment shattered as an explosion rocked the city several blocks away. They both jumped to their feet, watching as flames erupted from a building. What now? Charlie groaned. Naruto was already heading for the stairs. Let's find out. The source of the explosion turned out to be a turf war between rival demon gangs that had spilled onto the streets near the hotel. By the time Naruto and Charlie arrived, Vaggie was already organizing a defense perimeter with Angel Dust and Alastor. "They're getting bolder," Vaggie reported as they joined her behind a makeshift barricade. "This is the third fight this week, and they're getting closer to the hotel each time." "It's because of Blondie here," Angel Dust said, reloading an oversized gun. "Word on the street is some big players are offering rewards for anyone who can grab the living human with the special powers." "Asmodeus?" Charlie asked grimly. "Him and others," Alastor confirmed, his ever-present smile somehow more menacing. "Our princely friend has become quite the commodity in Hell's power markets." A stray energy blast hit their barricade, sending splinters flying. Naruto peered over the edge, assessing the situation. Two groups of demons clashed in the street, one sporting metallic implants and weapons, the other wielding elemental magic. "They're going to destroy the whole block at this rate," Charlie worried. "We need to stop them." "I got this," Naruto said confidently. Before anyone could stop him, he vaulted over the barricade. "Naruto, wait!" Charlie called after him. Landing in the middle of the battlefield, Naruto created a massive surge of shadow clones, 50 or more filling the street in an instant. The fighting demons faltered in confusion. "Hey!" Naruto shouted, his voice amplified by his clones who spoke in perfect unison. "Take your fight somewhere else. There are neutral territories for this kind of thing." A burly demon with metal plates grafted to his skin laughed. "Look at this. The famous human thinks he can give orders in Hell." He turned to his companions. 10,000 souls to whoever brings me his head." 15,000 for him alive," countered a serpentine demoness from the opposing faction. Naruto sighed. Why does nobody ever want to do this the easy way? Both factions turned their attacks on him. His clones moved with practiced coordination, engaging the demons while the real Naruto assessed their fighting styles. Hell's combatants were unpredictable, some used weapons, others magic, still others transformed their bodies in grotesque ways to attack. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Naruto created another wave of clones to replace those that had been destroyed. The demons faltered, clearly not expecting such endurance. From behind the barricade, Charlie watched with growing concern. He can't keep this up forever. There are too many of them. Should we help him? Angel asked, surprisingly concerned. Wait, Vaggie held up her hand. Look at what he's doing. Naruto had formed a strategy. His clones were no longer just fighting, they were hurting the demons, pushing the two factions apart and forcing them down separate streets away from the hotel. Rasengan Barrage. Multiple Narutos formed the spiraling chakra balls, slamming them into the ground to create barriers of debris that further separated the warring groups. Clever boy, Alastor commented appreciatively. Divide and redirect rather than simply destroy. As the fighting moved farther away, Naruto created one final wave of clones to keep the factions separated, then rejoined the others behind the barricade. That was reckless, Charlie scolded, though her eyes showed admiration. They could have overwhelmed you. Nah, Naruto grinned, not even winded. I've faced worse odds. Besides, I didn't want them damaging your hotel. Our hotel, Charlie corrected automatically, then blushed slightly. I mean, while you're here, it's your home too. Angel Dust made a gagging noise. Get a room, you two. Shut up, Angel, Vaggie and Charlie said in unison. As they headed back inside, none of them noticed the sleek, black drone hovering high above, its camera focused on Naruto. The footage transmitted directly to Asmodeus's palace, where the Lord of Lust watched with calculating interest. Fascinating combat tactics, he murmured to Vexus, who stood beside his throne. He prioritizes containment over destruction. Most unusual for someone with such power. A weakness we can exploit? Vexus suggested. Perhaps. Asmodeus tapped his fingers thoughtfully. Or perhaps something more valuable. Compassion in Hell is rare. As is the ability to create rather than destroy. His eyes gleamed. Both essential components of hope. The preparations continue as planned, my lord. The chamber will be ready within 2 days. Excellent. Asmodeus waved away the footage. And our agent within the hotel? In position. Awaiting your command. Tell them to be patient. Our prince is still acclimating to hell. Let him grow comfortable, let him explore his connection to the princess. Asmodeus smiled, a terrible beautiful expression. When we take him, I want him to understand exactly what he's losing. The next morning, Charlie called everyone to the hotel's library, a vast chamber filled with ancient texts and arcane artifacts. Dust motes danced in the crimson light filtering through stained glass windows depicting scenes from Hell's history. I've been researching Naruto's situation all night, she announced, gesturing to piles of open books and scrolls. And I think I've found something important. Naruto approached the central table where Charlie had laid out an ancient map. What is it? This map shows the original structure of Hell, before the 9 rings were fully established. She pointed to a central location marked with an unusual symbol. This is the nexus I mentioned before, a place where the barriers between realms are naturally thinner. The place in the super dangerous territory, Angel Dust clarified unnecessarily. Yes, but... Charlie traced her finger along several lines radiating from the nexus. These are ley lines, channels of cosmic energy that connect different parts of Hell. They also create pathways to other realms. Alastair leaned closer, his interest piqued. I've heard rumors of the ancient pathways, but most assumed they were sealed during the third hierarchical restructuring. Most were, Charlie confirmed. But according to this text, she held up a crumbling tome, some pathways remain accessible to those with the right key. Let me guess, Naruto said. The Prince of Hope is that key. Charlie nodded. The book describes the prince as the walker between worlds who bears the spiral mark of creation. The spiral again, Vaggie noted, glancing at Naruto's stomach where his seal was hidden beneath his shirt. So I need to get to this nexus place, Naruto surmised. It's not that simple, Charlie cautioned. The nexus is in contested territory for a reason. Multiple factions want control of it, including Asmodeus. It's heavily guarded, constantly fought over. Plus those ashen wastes you gotta cross, Husk added from where he lounged in a corner armchair. Nothing survives there long. It's where things go to die permanently. Cheerful, Naruto muttered. Charlie continued, but there's more. The prophecy mentions a ritual that must be performed at the nexus to fully awaken the prince's power, including the ability to create portals at will. What kind of ritual? Naruto asked skeptically. That's where it gets fuzzy. Something about uniting the 9 aspects and embracing the dual nature of existence. Charlie shrugged apologetically. Prophecies are often deliberately vague. Naruto rubbed his temples. Great. So I need to cross deadly territory, perform some cryptic ritual, and somehow avoid every power-hungry demon in Hell who wants to capture or kill me. Pretty much. Alastair confirmed cheerfully. But you won't be doing it alone, Charlie said firmly. I'm coming with you. This triggered immediate protests from everyone. Absolutely not. Charlie, that's insane. Your father would obliterate us. Charlie raised her hand for silence. This isn't up for debate. The prophecy mentions the prince and princess working together to restore balance. If Naruto is going to the nexus, I'm going too. Naruto studied her, seeing the determination in her eyes. You sure about this? Sounds like a dangerous mission even for Hell's princess. I'm sure. Charlie met his gaze steadily. Besides, you need a guide who knows Hell's geography, and I've studied the old maps extensively. Vaggie stepped forward. Then I'm coming too. And me. Angel Dust announced. What? I'm bored, and this sounds like the most exciting shit to happen in decades. Count me in as well. Alastair twirled his microphone staff. An expedition to the mythical nexus? Wouldn't miss it for all the souls in purgatory. Charlie looked around at the volunteers, clearly moved. Thanks, everyone. But we'll need to prepare carefully. The journey won't be easy. When do we leave? Naruto asked. We need at least 2 days to gather supplies and information, Charlie replied. In the meantime, I think we should continue exploring your abilities, Naruto. The more control you have over whatever's awakening inside you, the better our chances. Agreed, Naruto nodded. More training it is. As the group dispersed to begin preparations, Charlie pulled Naruto aside. There's something else I want to try today. Something that might help us understand your connection to Hell better. What did you have in mind? My father has a private collection of artifacts from before the fall. I can get us access. Her eyes gleamed with excitement. If your angelic heritage is real, these objects might react to you. Won't your father mind us poking around his stuff? Charlie grinned mischievously. What Daddy doesn't know won't hurt him. Besides, technically half that collection belongs to me anyway. Naruto couldn't help but smile back. For the Princess of Hell, Charlie had a rebellious streak that reminded him of his own younger days. Alright, I'm in. Secret mission to raid Lucifer's treasure room. What could possibly go wrong? As it turned out, getting into Lucifer's tower was surprisingly easy when you were his daughter. Charlie led Naruto through a series of back entrances and secret passages, bypassing most of the security. I used to explore these tunnels as a kid, she explained as they navigated a narrow passage lit by strange phosphorescent fungi. Drove my tutors crazy when I'd disappear for hours. You were a troublemaker? Naruto asked, amused. The worst. One time I released all the soul-eating butterflies from the menagerie. Took weeks to recapture them all. She smiled at the memory. My mom thought it was hilarious. Dad, not so much. They emerged into a vast circular chamber at the tower's heart. Unlike the garish red decor of most hell structures, this room was done in elegant white and gold. Glass cases displayed objects of obvious power and antiquity, weapons, scrolls, jewelry, and things Naruto couldn't even identify. My father's collection, Charlie said softly. Artifacts from the time before Hell, when he was still an angel. Naruto approached a case containing what looked like a feather, glowing with soft inner light. These are all angelic. Mostly. Some are from other realms. My father's been collecting for eons. Charlie moved to a control panel and disabled the security system. Okay, we have about an hour before the system automatically resets. Let's see what happens. As Naruto moved through the collection, most items remained inert. A few seemed to pulse slightly at his approach, but nothing dramatic occurred until they reached the chamber's center, where a single artifact stood on a pedestal. It appeared to be a simple crystal orb, similar to the one in the hotel that had reacted to him before. But this one was larger, clearer, and unmarked by any symbols. What's this? Naruto asked, feeling drawn to it. The Memoria Lux, Charlie replied reverently. Light of memory. It's said to reveal truths hidden even from the conscious mind. As Naruto approached, the orb began to glow, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. When he reached out tentatively, the glow intensified. Go ahead, Charlie encouraged. Touch it. The moment his fingers made contact, light exploded outward. Naruto gasped as images flooded his mind, not just visions but memories that weren't his own. He saw a being of pure light descending to Earth centuries ago, falling in love with a human woman with startlingly familiar red hair, their child born with a strange spiral marking, generations passing, the bloodline continuing, always carrying that same marking. Kushina Uzumaki meeting Minato Namikaze, and finally, the night of his birth. But now he saw what had been hidden before. As the Nine Tails attacked and his parents prepared their desperate plan, a third presence manifested, a glowing figure that strengthened the failing seal, that poured essence into the dying infant, that broke divine law to save a descendant. And paid the price. Naruto stumbled back from the orb, breaking contact. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the revelations. Naruto. Charlie knelt beside him, concerned. What did you see? Everything, he whispered, eyes wide. The angel who fell for a human, their descendants, my ancestors. The spiral marking passed down through generations. And the night I was born. He looked up at Charlie. Someone, something, intervened. Saved me when the seal was failing. Gave up their existence to preserve mine. Charlie helped him to his feet. Your angelic ancestor sacrificed themselves for you. Not just for me, Naruto realized. The memories showed something else. A prophecy older than hell itself. About balance between realms, about hope incarnating when needed most. He touched his stomach where the seal contained Kurama. The spiral seal wasn't just to contain the Nine Tails. It was activating something dormant in my bloodline. That explains what I've sensed in you since the beginning, Kurama spoke, his voice thoughtful. An energy neither human nor bijou. Something I couldn't identify because I'd never encountered it before. So it's true, Charlie breathed. You really are the Prince of Hope. Before Naruto could respond, an alarm blared through the chamber. Red lights flashed as security systems reactivated. That's not supposed to happen for another 20 minutes, Charlie said, alarmed. Someone must have. The chamber doors slid open. Standing there was Vexus, Asmodeus's lieutenant, flanked by elite guards. Princess Charlotte, he greeted with mock politeness. And the human. What a fortuitous encounter. Charlie stepped protectively in front of Naruto. We have permission to be here, Vexus. Of course, he smiled coldly. Just as I have permission to extend Lord Asmodeus's invitation once more. He was most disappointed when you declined his generous offer. Still declining, Naruto replied, shifting into a defensive stance. Your boss will have to deal with the disappointment. Vexus sighed theatrically. I anticipated your response. Lord Asmodeus did as well. He snapped his fingers, and more guards appeared, surrounding them. Which is why the invitation is now mandatory. You can't just abduct the Princess of Hell, Charlie protested. My father is currently occupied with matters on the Eastern Front, Vexus interrupted smoothly. Most convenient timing, wouldn't you agree? Almost as if someone anticipated your little excursion today. Naruto's eyes narrowed. You have a spy in the hotel. Irrelevant now, Vexus dismissed. You're both coming with us. Lord Asmodeus is eager to begin the procedure. Procedure? Charlie repeated, alarmed. Oh yes. The extraction process requires careful preparation. Vexus's smile widened. Don't worry, human. We only need to remove the angelic essence. The rest of you can remain, mostly intact. That was all Naruto needed to hear. Charlie, get down, he shouted, already forming the familiar cross sign. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. The chamber filled with copies of Naruto, immediately engaging the guards. Charlie transformed partially, her form growing taller, more demonic, as she summoned crimson energy to her hands. The orb, she called to Naruto as she blasted two guards back. It can create a distraction. Break it. Naruto fought his way back to the pedestal where the memorial lux still glowed. Are you sure? Won't your dad be pissed? Better angry than finding us dissected in Asmodeus's lab. Charlie replied, dodging an energy whip. Good point. Naruto formed a Rasengan and slammed it into the orb. The crystal shattered, releasing a blinding explosion of light that filled the chamber. Screams of pain came from the guards as the pure energy burned them. Using the confusion, Naruto grabbed Charlie's hand. Which way out? She pointed to a small door partially hidden behind a display case. Service tunnel. Leads to the lower levels. They ran, fighting through guards who managed to pursue despite the light show. Naruto created more clones to cover their retreat, while Charlie used her knowledge of the tower to navigate the labyrinthine passages. "We need to warn the others," she gasped as they descended a spiral staircase. "If Asmodeus is moving against us, the hotel isn't safe." "Agreed. But first we need to, look out." Naruto shoved Charlie aside as an energy blast tore through the space she'd occupied a moment before. Vexus had recovered faster than expected, his multiple eyes adapted to the intense light. He hovered at the top of the stairwell, wings spread menacingly. "Impressive reflexes," he acknowledged. "But futile. The tower is sealed. There's nowhere to." He never finished the sentence as Naruto's fist connected with his face, launched by a clone that had been positioned below. The lieutenant tumbled down the stairs, momentarily stunned. "Nice hit," Charlie grinned. "Thanks. Now run." They continued downward, eventually reaching a maintenance level filled with machinery and pipes. The sounds of pursuit echoed from multiple directions. "We're running out of options," Charlie panted, looking around frantically. "They've cut off the main exits." Naruto closed his eyes briefly, sensing the building's layout through the clones he'd dispersed throughout the tower. "There's a window 3 levels up on the east side with fewer guards. If we can reach it, we'd still have a 1,000-foot drop," Charlie pointed out. "I've survived worse falls," Naruto said confidently. "And I'm guessing you can fly?" Charlie's eyes widened in understanding. "Yes, but," she was cut off by another explosion as guards breached the level they were on. "Okay, east side it is." They fought their way upward through service tunnels, using Naruto's clones to create diversions throughout the tower. Charlie's knowledge of the building's layout proved invaluable, allowing them to avoid the heaviest concentrations of guards. Finally, they reached a corridor with large stained glass windows depicting scenes of the fall. Guards were closing in from both directions. "That one." Charlie pointed to a window showing Lucifer's descent from heaven. "It's thinner than the others." Naruto didn't hesitate. He formed a Rasengan and charged, slamming the spiraling chakra ball into the ancient glass. It shattered outward, revealing the dizzying drop to the city far below. "Now what?" Charlie asked as guards closed in, weapons ready. "Now we jump." Naruto grabbed her around the waist and leapt through the opening. They plummeted through hell's crimson sky, wind whistling past them. Guards fired energy blasts after them, most missing but one grazing Naruto's shoulder. "Can you fly now?" he shouted over the wind. Charlie's form shifted, becoming more demonic. Wings sprouted from her back, not feathered like an angel's but leathery like a bat's. She wrapped her arms around Naruto and spread her wings, their descent immediately slowing. "Hang on," she called, banking sharply to avoid more energy blasts from the tower. They soared through the cityscape, weaving between buildings as pursuit ships launched from Lucifer's tower. Charlie flew masterfully, using the urban canyons to lose their pursuers. "The hotel is probably compromised," she said as they put distance between themselves and the tower. "We need somewhere else to go." "Any ideas?" Naruto asked, still holding tight around her waist. Flying was definitely not his preferred mode of transportation. Charlie thought for a moment, then nodded decisively. "Yes. Somewhere even Asmodeus would think twice before following." She changed direction, diving lower into the city's shadowy depths. They passed through districts of increasing disrepair until reaching what appeared to be an abandoned theater, its once grand facade now crumbling. Landing in an alley behind the building, Charlie retracted her wings, her form returning to normal. "We should be safe here for a while." "Where are we?" Naruto asked, looking around at the decrepit surroundings. "The Happy Theater," Charlie said with a hint of sadness. "It was my first attempt at rehabilitation before the hotel. Failed spectacularly, but I kept the property." She led him to a hidden entrance, pressing her hand against a seemingly random brick. The wall slid open, revealing a dusty but intact interior. "Nobody knows I still have access to this place," she explained as they entered. "Not even Vaggie." It was too painful a reminder of my first failure. Inside, past the cobwebbed lobby, they found a small apartment, clearly Charlie's former living quarters. Despite years of abandonment, it remained functional, protected by spells that kept out pests and decay. "Emergency generator still works," Charlie said, flipping a switch that illuminated the space with soft light. "And there should be supplies in the pantry." Naruto sat heavily on a vintage sofa, the adrenaline of their escape finally wearing off. "That was close. Too close." "Asmodeus is getting desperate," Charlie agreed, finding a first aid kit for the burn on Naruto's shoulder. "Which means he knows something we don't. Something that's making him rush his plans." "The Memoria Lux showed me fragments of my ancestry, but nothing about why Asmodeus would want to extract my essence." Naruto winced as Charlie applied ointment to his wound. "What's his endgame?" "I don't know," Charlie admitted. "But my father might. He and Asmodeus have history, ancient history. If anyone knows what Asmodeus is planning, it would be him. Your dad who you just stole from and whose tower we just trashed." Naruto raised an eyebrow. Charlie grimaced. "Yeah, that conversation's going to be awkward. But first, we need to contact the others, warn them." She searched through drawers until finding an old-fashioned communication device, something like a crystal ball phone. "This line should be secure. It's keyed to my blood signature." Pricking her finger, she let a drop of blood fall on the crystal. It glowed, then projected a spectral image of Vaggie's face. "Charlie!" Vaggie exclaimed, relief evident. "Where are you? Are you okay?" "The hotel was attacked, we're safe," Charlie assured her. "Hidden. What happened at the hotel?" "Asmodeus's forces showed up about an hour ago, demanding we hand over you and Naruto. When we refused, they tried to force their way in." Vaggie's expression darkened. "Big mistake. Turns out Alastor takes hotel security very personally. They retreated, but left spies watching the building." "Is everyone alright?" Naruto asked, leaning into view. "Fine. Angel Dust is having the time of his life fortifying the perimeter. Husk actually sobered up long enough to help. And Nifty's turned the lobby into a death trap of tripwires and glitter bombs." "Glitter bombs?" Naruto questioned. "Trust me, in hell, glitter is a serious weapon," Charlie explained before turning back to Vaggie. "Listen, we learned something important. Asmodeus is planning some kind of extraction procedure. He wants to remove Naruto's angelic essence." Vaggie's eyes widened. "That can't be good. Why would he?" She stopped suddenly, looking off-screen. "Alastor has a theory." "Hang on." The radio demon's face appeared in the projection, his smile as wide as ever. Well. Our fugitive survived. Splendid performance, truly entertaining." "Al," Charlie said impatiently. "Vaggie said you have a theory about Asmodeus?" "Indeed I do." Alastor's expression turned thoughtful, though his smile never faltered. "Our lustful lord has been collecting angelic artifacts for centuries, fragments of divine power. Most assumed it was merely a collector's obsession. But if he's now seeking to extract living angelic essence, he's trying to combine them somehow," Naruto realized. "Create something new. Or recreate something old," Alastor corrected. "Something lost during the fall." Charlie gasped. "The shard of creation." "The what now?" Naruto asked. "A fragment of divine power used during the creation of the realms," Charlie explained, eyes wide with horror. "Legend says it was shattered during the Celestial Wars, its pieces scattered throughout existence. And Asmodeus has been collecting those pieces," Vaggie concluded. "But why?" Control, Alastor said simply. Whoever holds the completed shard could potentially rewrite the barriers between realms. Determine who passes between them, under what conditions. He could control the afterlife itself, Charlie whispered. Decide who goes to heaven, who goes to hell. Or create something entirely new, Alastor added, his static-filled voice ominous. A third realm under his exclusive control. The implications hung heavily in the air. Naruto thought of what such power could mean, not just for hell, but for the living world, for Konoha. We need to stop him, he said firmly. And I think I know how. All eyes turned to him expectantly. The Nexus, Naruto continued. If it's truly a junction point between realms, it must contain its own fragment of creation power. If I can connect with it, activate whatever this Prince of Hope power actually is. You could create a counterforce to whatever Asmodeus is building, Charlie finished, excitement building in her voice. It's risky, Vaggie cautioned. The Nexus is in heavily contested territory, and now Asmodeus will be hunting you actively. Which is exactly why we need to move quickly, Naruto argued. Before he realizes where we're heading. Charlie nodded decisively. Vaggie, gather everyone and the supplies we prepared. Meet us at the eastern edge of the Crimson District in 3 hours. We're going to the Nexus. I'll ensure we're not followed, Alastor promised, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. This expedition just became significantly more entertaining. The projection faded, leaving Charlie and Naruto alone in the dusty apartment. You sure about this? Charlie asked quietly. The Nexus journey was dangerous before. Now it's practically suicide. Since when has the risk of death stopped either of us? Naruto replied with a confident smile. Besides, I'm starting to think this isn't just about getting me home anymore. If Asmodeus succeeds, everyone suffers, Charlie finished. Hell, heaven, earth, all the realms. Naruto nodded. Then we don't let him succeed. Their eyes met, a silent pact forming between them. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, the Princess of Hell and the Prince of Hope, united against a threat to all existence. As Charlie began gathering supplies for their journey, Naruto closed his eyes, reaching inside to communicate with Kurama. You're accepting this destiny rather quickly, the fox observed. The prophecy, the angelic heritage. You were skeptical just days ago. I still don't know if I'm this prince they think I am, Naruto replied mentally. But I know when something feels right, when a path is clear. This feels like my path now, at least for a while. And the princess? Kurama asked knowingly. Naruto glanced at Charlie, who was efficiently packing a bag with supplies, her face set in determined concentration. She reminds me of me, he admitted. Someone who believes in change when nobody else does. Someone who sees the good in others, even when they can't see it themselves. She is not human, Kurama reminded him gently. And your worlds are literally realms apart. I know, Naruto sighed. But right now, that doesn't seem to matter as much as stopping Asmodeus and finding a way to balance these realms. Kurama remained silent for a moment, then replied with unusual gentleness, your father would be proud of the man you've become, Kit. Taking on the burdens of worlds not even your own. The unexpected praise warmed Naruto. Thanks, Kurama. Ready? Charlie called, interrupting his inner conversation. She had changed into more practical attire, black pants, boots, and a red jacket emblazoned with the hotel's logo. A small bag was slung over her shoulder, and she had armed herself with what appeared to be a staff that could extend from a compact form. Naruto stood, rolling his shoulders to loosen them. Ready. Let's go save some realms. The eastern edge of the Crimson District marked the boundary between Pentagram City's relative civilization and the wilder territories beyond. Buildings grew more dilapidated, streets more broken, until urban structure gave way entirely to a blasted landscape of red rock and twisted vegetation. Naruto and Charlie arrived first, taking cover in the ruins of what had once been a guard tower. From their vantage point, they could see the wasteland stretching toward the horizon, punctuated by strange rock formations and the occasional movement of creatures best left unidentified. "That doesn't look friendly," Naruto commented, eyeing particularly ominous storm clouds in the distance. "The Ashen Wastes," Charlie confirmed grimly. 3 days' journey through that, then we reach the contested territories where the Nexus lies. 3 days in that? Naruto couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. "What lives out there?" "Nothing good," Charlie replied. "Exiled demons, soul-eating plants, reality fractures where physics breaks down entirely. The usual hell hazards." Before Naruto could respond, movement below caught their attention. A group approached from the city, Vaggie leading, followed by Angel Dust, Alastor, and surprisingly, Husk and Nifty as well. "They all came," Charlie whispered, clearly moved. They descended to meet their friends, who arrived laden with supplies and weapons. "You made it," Vaggie embraced Charlie tightly. "Any sign of pursuit?" "Nothing yet, but we should assume they're tracking us somehow." Alastor twirled his microphone staff cheerfully. "Worry not. I've taken certain precautions to confuse our lustful adversary. Several false trails leading in opposite directions should keep his forces scattered." "You're all really coming?" Naruto asked, surprised by the full turnout. "Hell yeah." Angel Dust grinned, adjusting an impressive arsenal strapped to his multiple limbs. "Miss the adventure of the century?" "Not a chance, Blondie. Someone's gotta keep these idiots alive," Husk grumbled, though his wings were bristled in readiness. "And clean up after them," Nifty added cheerfully, somehow having packed cleaning supplies alongside survival gear. Naruto found himself unexpectedly touched. These demons, who owed him nothing, were risking everything to help him, and to stop Asmodeus's plans. "Thanks, everyone," he said sincerely. "This means a lot." "Save the mushy stuff," Vaggie interrupted, unfolding a map. "We need to plan our route carefully. The wastes are constantly changing, but certain landmarks remain stable." As they gathered around the map, Charlie outlined their journey. 3 days through the wastes if we're lucky. We'll need to reach the Obsidian Spire by nightfall, it's the only safe haven in the eastern sector. From there, we cross the Sulphur Flats, then navigate the Bone Canyon before reaching the contested territories. "What about water? Food?" Naruto asked practically. "I've packed purification tablets," Nifty announced. "Hell's water is mostly acid and blood, but the tablets make it drinkable." "Mostly. And I've got enough booze to sterilize wounds or kill the pain when we get them," Husk added, patting his flask. "Such optimism." Alastor laughed. "But our Servine friend is right to be prepared. The wastes have claimed many an unprepared traveler." As they finalized plans, Naruto felt Kurama stir within him. "Someone's watching," the fox warned. Naruto immediately tensed, scanning their surroundings. "We're being observed," he said quietly to the others. Vaggie and Angel instantly took defensive positions. Charlie closed her eyes briefly, sensing the area with her demonic perception. There, she pointed to a seemingly empty patch of air about 50 yards away. "Cloaked observer. Probably a surveillance familiar." Before anyone could react, Alastor's shadow extended with impossible speed, grabbing whatever lurked there and dragging it into visibility. A small demonic creature materialized, struggling in the shadow's grip, something like a cross between a bat and an eyeball. "How delightful. A spy." Alastor approached the terrified creature, his smile turning predatory. "Now, who might you be working for, little one?" The familiar squeaked in fear, its single eye darting between the group members. "Asmodeus?" Charlie asked it directly. The creature's pupil dilated in recognition. "Thought so," Vaggie muttered. "They know we're heading east. Then we better move fast," Naruto decided. "Before reinforcements arrive." Alastor chuckled darkly. Allow me to send a message back to our friend. With a snap of his fingers, his shadow consumed the familiar entirely. Static crackled in the air as Alastor's eyes glowed with demonic power. That should give Lord Asmodeus something to think about. What did you do? Naruto asked, not entirely sure he wanted to know. Merely reversed the surveillance spell, Alastor replied innocently. Instead of it watching us, now we're watching him. Temporarily, of course. Charlie looked troubled but didn't comment. Instead, she shouldered her pack. We need to move. The wastes are most navigable during daylight hours, such as they are in Hell. With final preparations complete, the group set out, crossing the invisible boundary that separated civilization from wilderness. The air immediately felt different, heavier, charged with malevolent energy. The ground beneath their feet shifted subtly, as if the very earth resented their presence. Naruto fell into step beside Charlie at the front of the group. So, this is what Hell looked like before the cities. Some of it, she nodded. Most of Hell was shaped by my father and the other fallen angels to serve specific purposes. But there are regions like the wastes that resist modification, places where primal energies still dominate. As they walked, the landscape grew increasingly alien. Rock formations twisted into impossible shapes, defying gravity and logic. Vegetation appeared, if you could call it that. Plants with teeth, flowers that screamed when approached, thorny vines that reached for passing ankles. Stick to the path, Charlie warned as angel dust nearly stepped on a particularly innocent-looking purple flower. Most things out here evolve specifically to eat souls. Kinky, Angel commented, though he carefully returned to the center of the trail. They made good progress through the morning, covering ground at a steady pace. Naruto created shadow clones to scout ahead and behind, maintaining a defensive perimeter around the group. By midday, the heat had become oppressive. The red sun of Hell hung directly overhead, larger and more malevolent than Earth's sun. They stopped in the shadow of a massive rock formation shaped disturbingly like a screaming face. Water break, Charlie announced, passing around canteens filled with purified liquid. Drink sparingly. Resources get scarcer the deeper we go. As they rested, Alastor approached Naruto, his expression unusually serious despite his permanent smile. A word, if I may, the radio demon said, gesturing slightly away from the group. Intrigued, Naruto followed him a short distance away. What's up? I've been observing your energy since you arrived in Hell, Alastor began without preamble. It's changing. Evolving. You've noticed it too, I expect. Naruto nodded cautiously. Kurama mentioned something similar. Said my chakra pathways are adapting to Hell's environment. More than adapting, Alastor corrected. They're incorporating it. Transforming it. What you're doing, perhaps unconsciously, is something I've only seen in ancient texts describing the original fallen angels. Which means, my fascinating friend, that your Prince of Hope title may be more literal than metaphorical. Alastor leaned on his microphone staff. The original princes of Hell were angels who changed after the fall, their celestial energy transforming to suit their new environment while retaining aspects of their original nature. Naruto absorbed this information silently. Then, why are you telling me this? No offense, but you don't seem the helpful mentor type. Alastor laughed, genuinely amused. Perspective. I've existed in Hell for nearly a century, and boredom is the true eternal torture. You, Naruto Uzumaki, are the most interesting development I've witnessed in decades. So I'm entertainment. Everyone is entertainment to me, Alastor admitted shamelessly. But you're also a catalyst for change in a realm desperately in need of it. Our princess has the right idea about redemption, but lacks the power to implement it properly. You, however. You think I can help Charlie change Hell? I think you already are. Alastor gestured to where the others rested. Look at them, demons who would normally be at each other's throats, united in common purpose. following a living human into the deadliest region of hell. That doesn't happen without extraordinary influence. Naruto studied the group thoughtfully. It was true, their unlikely alliance defied Hell's typically selfish, chaotic nature. Just something to consider, Alastor concluded, his usual jovial manner returning. As we journey toward the nexus where your true nature may fully awaken. He sauntered back to the group, leaving Naruto to ponder his words. Inside, Kurama stirred thoughtfully. The dear demon isn't wrong, the fox commented. Your chakra is changing, becoming something new. I can feel it. And so can others, which is why Asmodeus wants to extract it before it fully integrates with your being. What happens when it does fully integrate? Naruto asked mentally. That, Kit, is the question that has every power player in Hell scrambling for advantage. Their break ended as Charlie called everyone back to order. The group continued their trek, the landscape growing steadily more hostile. Twice they had to detour around areas where reality itself seemed to fracture, patches where space folded impossibly or gravity reversed. By late afternoon, they encountered their first serious obstacle. The path forward was blocked by what appeared to be a river, except instead of water, it flowed with a viscous black substance that bubbled and hissed ominously. Essence River, Charlie explained grimly. Liquid soul matter. Touch it, and it begins dissolving your spiritual form. Can we go around? Naruto asked, eyeing the dark flow that stretched in both directions as far as they could see. It would add days to our journey, Vaggie replied, consulting the map. The river forms a complete loop around this section of the wastes. Alastor approached the bank, studying the flow with interest. Fascinating. I haven't seen an essence river in decades. They've grown rare since the industrialization of soul processing. Great history lesson, but how do we cross it? Husk grumbled. Naruto studied the river thoughtfully, then turned to Charlie. How far across is it? Looks maybe 30 feet at this point. About that, she confirmed. Why? Planning to jump it? Something like that. Naruto formed his familiar hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Dozens of clones appeared, immediately organizing themselves into a human chain. The first clone threw the second across the river, who then anchored himself to a rock on the far bank. More clones followed, linking arms until they formed a living bridge across the deadly flow. Ladies and demons first, Naruto gestured grandly. That's, actually pretty clever, Vaggie admitted, impressed despite herself. One by one, they crossed using the clone bridge, careful not to touch the essence river below. Alastor went last, pausing midway to examine the flow more closely. Most intriguing, he murmured. This river isn't flowing naturally. It's being channeled. What do you mean? Charlie asked from the far bank. Someone has redirected this essence flow deliberately, Alastor elaborated, pointing to subtle geometric patterns visible in the riverbed. Rather recently, I'd say. Asmodeus, Naruto guessed. Creating obstacles to slow us down. Or hurt us in a specific direction, Charlie said worriedly. We should be extra cautious moving forward. Once everyone was safely across, Naruto released the jutsu, his clones disappearing in puffs of smoke. The group continued, more alert now to signs of tampering with their route. As the red sun of hell began its descent toward the horizon, they caught sight of their first destination, the Obsidian Spire, a massive black crystal formation jutting hundreds of feet into the crimson sky. Its surface reflected the landscape in distorted, nightmarish variations. There it is, Charlie pointed. We need to reach it before dark. Once night falls, the wastes become active. Define active, Naruto requested, not liking her tone. You know how most predators on Earth hunt at night? Angel Dust interjected. Same principle here, except imagine those predators are made of concentrated nightmare fuel and can smell fear. Lovely, Naruto muttered. They quickened their pace, aware of the lengthening shadows around them. Strange sounds began to emerge from the landscape, whispers, scratchings, distant howls that seemed to come from multiple directions simultaneously. The spire still looked deceptively distant when Charlie suddenly raised her hand, signaling the group to halt. "Something's wrong," she said quietly. "The approach to the spire should be clear, but I sense barriers." Alastor closed his eyes briefly, extending his perception. "Agreed. Someone has established a perimeter. Quite sophisticated warding spells." "Asmodeus again?" Vaggie asked, readying her spear. "No," Charlie shook her head. "This magic feels different. Older." Naruto created a shadow clone and sent it forward to investigate. The clone had barely covered 50 yards when the ground beneath it erupted. Skeletal hands grabbed its ankles, dragging it down as the clone struggled before dispelling in a puff of smoke. "Ambush!" Naruto called out as the ground around them began to tremble. Skeletons emerged from the earth, not ordinary human skeletons, but massive, malformed ones with too many limbs, too many eye sockets, jaws that opened impossibly wide. They moved with unnatural speed, surrounding the group. Bone sentinels, Charlie identified them, her staff extending to combat length. Guardians bound to ancient burial grounds. But there shouldn't be any here. Someone moved them, Alastor concluded, his shadow extending into deadly shapes. Repurposed them. There was no more time for analysis as the sentinels attacked. The group formed a defensive circle, each member engaging the skeletal warriors with their unique abilities. Angel Dust unleashed a barrage from his multiple guns, shattering bone with surprising accuracy. Vaggie's spear glowed with magical energy as she impaled sentinel after sentinel. Husk used his wings and claws to deadly effect, while Nifty zipped between enemies, her small size and incredible speed making her difficult to target. Alastor hardly moved at all, his shadow doing the fighting for him, seizing skeletons and crushing them or tearing them apart. His expression remained one of mild amusement, as if the battle were merely light entertainment. Charlie transformed partially into her demonic form, growing taller, her eyes glowing red. She wielded her staff with practiced skill, each strike infused with hellish energy that turned bone to ash. Naruto created more shadow clones to even the odds, working in coordinated teams to dismantle the larger sentinels. He found himself naturally fighting alongside Charlie, their movements complementing each other as if they'd trained together for years. "There's too many." Vaggie called out as more skeletons continued to emerge from the ground. "We need an exit strategy. The spire is our only option." Charlie shouted back. "We have to break through." Naruto assessed the situation quickly. They were being overwhelmed by numbers, and night was falling fast. Soon they'd be fighting both the sentinels and whatever active horrors emerged in darkness. "I have an idea," he told Charlie. "But it's risky. I need to tap into Kurama's power." Charlie nodded without hesitation. "Do it. We'll cover you." The group tightened their formation around Naruto as he closed his eyes, connecting with the Nine Tails. "Kurama, I need your chakra. Be careful, Kit. My energy interacts unpredictably with Hell's environment. Remember what happened during your training with the princess." "No choice," Naruto replied. "Just enough to clear a path." The fox's energy surged through him, the familiar red chakra cloak forming around his body. One tail emerged, then two, his features becoming more feral, more fox-like. But something was different this time. Where the red chakra met Hell's atmosphere, it seemed to shimmer, taking on a golden hue at the edges. "His energy," Charlie murmured, sensing the change. "It's evolving." Naruto opened his eyes, now slitted and crimson. "Everyone stay close behind me," he instructed, voice deeper with Kurama's influence. "I'm going to clear a path to the spire." He stepped forward, chakra swirling around him in visible currents. The sentinels seemed to hesitate, their empty sockets focusing on this new threat. Then, as one, they charged. "Kurama, now!" Naruto slammed his hands together, combining Kurama's chakra with his own in a technique he'd improvised. Spiraling wave. The chakra expanded outward in a controlled shockwave, tinted with that strange golden light. Where it touched the sentinels, they didn't just break, they dissolved, the ancient magic binding them unraveling under the combined power of the Nine Tails and whatever was awakening in Naruto. A path cleared before them, leading straight to the spire. "Run!" Naruto shouted to the others. "I can't hold this for long." The group sprinted down the cleared path, Naruto maintaining the chakra wave at the front while Alastor and Charlie guarded the rear. The remaining sentinels pursued but couldn't penetrate the energy barrier Naruto projected. They reached the base of the obsidian spire just as darkness fell completely. Ancient runes carved into the crystal surface glowed softly, recognizing Charlie's royal blood as she pressed her palm against them. "Sanctuary," she commanded, and a doorway appeared in the seemingly solid crystal, opening into a chamber within. The group rushed inside, Naruto entering last, still maintaining the chakra shield. Once everyone was through, Charlie sealed the entrance, the crystal wall solidifying once more. Inside, the spire contained a surprisingly comfortable chamber lit by bioluminescent fungi. The space appeared to have been used as a way station for centuries, with basic amenities and protection sigils carved into every surface. Naruto released Kurama's chakra, dropping to one knee in exhaustion. The golden shimmer faded, returning to normal red before receding entirely. "That was impressive," Vaggie commented, helping him to a bench carved from the crystal wall. "Since when can you make your fox energy do that?" "I can't, usually," Naruto replied between deep breaths. "Something's changing." The energy responded differently here in Hell. Not just differently, Kurama spoke up, his voice audible to everyone. "My chakra was amplified, transformed by whatever is awakening in you, Kit. The angelic essence is becoming more active." Charlie approached, her expression serious. "That golden light, it's the same color described in texts about angelic manifestations in Hell. Your celestial heritage is integrating with your existing powers. Is that good or bad?" Angel Dust asked, reloading his weapons. "Both, potentially," Alastor answered, examining the protection sigils with interest. "Such power will be immensely useful against whatever awaits us, but also makes our princely friend an even more tempting target for Asmodeus." Husk, who had been setting up a perimeter near the sealed entrance, called out, "Those bone freaks are still out there. Lots of them. They're not attacking the spire directly, but they're not leaving either." "The spire is protected by ancient magic," Charlie explained, checking the other defensive sigils. "They can't enter unless invited. We're safe for the night." "Safe is relative when you're being hunted by a Hell Lord," Vaggie pointed out pragmatically. Naruto stood, having caught his breath. "Those sentinels were placed there deliberately," Alastor said. "They were repurposed. Someone knew we were coming this way." "The spy we caught," Charlie nodded. "Asmodeus must have mobilized forces ahead of us, trying to prevent us from reaching the Nexus. Which means our route is compromised," Vaggie concluded grimly. "We need a new plan." Charlie unfolded the map on a crystal table at the chamber's center. "There are alternative paths to the Nexus, but they're even more dangerous than our current route." As the group gathered around the map, discussing options, Naruto felt a strange sensation, a pulling in his mind, drawing his attention to the spire's inner wall. Without fully understanding why, he approached the crystal surface, placing his hand against it. The obsidian felt warm under his touch, responsive. Symbols began to glow around his hand, similar to those at the temple that had first opened the portal to Hell. "Charlie," he called, not removing his hand. "Something's happening." The others joined him, watching in fascination as the symbols spread across the wall, forming intricate patterns that shifted and realigned. "It's responding to you," Charlie whispered. "The spire was created during the early formation of Hell, before the fall was complete. It's of both worlds, like you." The glowing symbols coalesced into a map, different from the one Charlie had, showing paths and landmarks that didn't appear on her version. Hidden routes, Alastair identified them, his radio dial eyes widening slightly. Pathways from the time before Hell was fully established. Can we trust it? Vaggie asked skeptically. The spire has no allegiance except to balance, Charlie replied, studying the new map intently. It shows truth to those it recognizes. She glanced at Naruto with new appreciation. Apparently, it recognizes you. Naruto examined the glowing routes. One in particular seemed to pulse more brightly than the others, a winding path that bypassed the most dangerous regions while still leading to the Nexus. This way, he pointed. It feels right. No one questioned his intuition. Charlie quickly sketched the new route onto their map before the symbols faded from the wall. It cuts a day off our journey, she noted with growing excitement. And avoids the worst of the contested territories. Then it's settled, Naruto decided. We rest here tonight, then take this new path tomorrow. As the group prepared for the night, setting up watches and organizing their supplies, Naruto found a quiet corner to meditate. The encounter with the spire had stirred something deep within him, memories or knowledge that weren't quite his own, yet felt increasingly familiar. Charlie joined him after a while, sitting cross-legged beside him. Mind if I join you? Not at all, he replied, opening his eyes. Just trying to make sense of everything. That's a tall order in Hell, she smiled gently. Most demons spend eternity trying. They sat in companionable silence for a moment before Charlie spoke again. What you did out there, with your fox's power, it was beautiful, in a strange way. The golden light, the way it unraveled the sentinels without destroying them. It felt different, Naruto admitted. Usually when I use Kurama's chakra, it's raw, aggressive. But this time it felt purifying. Because it wasn't just my power, Kurama commented from within. It was merging with your awakening celestial energy. In a sense, we were both channeling something else. The prince's power, Charlie suggested. Hope made manifest. Naruto shook his head slightly. I still have trouble with that title. Back home, I'm just Naruto, a ninja who wants to become Hokage and protect his village. And here, you're still Naruto, Charlie assured him. Just Naruto who might also have the ability to transform Hell itself. She grinned. No pressure. He couldn't help but laugh. When you put it that way. Charlie's expression turned more serious. I know you're focused on getting home, and you should be. But I can't help thinking about what your presence here could mean for Hell, for demons seeking redemption. You're wondering if I'll just leave once we stop Asmodeus, Naruto guessed. She nodded, somewhat embarrassed. Selfish, I know. Your world needs you. It's not selfish to want help with something important, Naruto said gently. Your redemption project matters. And honestly, I'm starting to think these worlds are more connected than we realized. What do you mean? The Memoria Lux showed me fragments of history, my ancestors, the bloodline connection. But it also showed something else, the realms were never meant to be completely separate. They're part of a balance, like you said. The original design, Charlie breathed. Before the celestial wars, before the fall. Heaven, Hell, and the mortal realm in harmony. Exactly. So maybe finding a way home doesn't mean leaving Hell behind entirely. Naruto smiled slightly. Maybe it means creating a better connection between worlds. Charlie's eyes lit up with that familiar hope that made her so uniquely herself. That would change everything. For demons seeking redemption, for souls in transition. For hotel proprietors with big dreams, Naruto added with a grin. She bumped his shoulder playfully. Don't mock. It could happen. I'm not mocking. I believe it could. And surprisingly, he found that he meant it. Whatever was happening to him in Hell, whatever power was awakening, the idea of using it to help Charlie's vision didn't feel wrong. It felt like purpose. Their conversation was interrupted as Nifty zoomed up to them. "Dinner's ready. I made hellrat stew with sulfur dumplings." Naruto's expression must have shown his alarm because Charlie quickly added, "It's better than it sounds. Nifty's a surprisingly good cook." "If you say so," he replied skeptically, following her to where the others had gathered around a small cooking fire. The meal turned out to be strange but not unpleasant, with flavors unlike anything in the mortal world. As they ate, the group shared stories and strategies for the journey ahead. Despite the dangers surrounding them, a sense of camaraderie had formed among these unlikely allies. Later, as most of the others slept, Naruto took first watch with Alastor. They sat near the sealed entrance, alert to any changes in the sentinels patrolling outside. "You and our princess seem to be developing quite the connection," Alastor observed, his tone casual but his eyes shrewd. "Charlie's easy to talk to," Naruto replied neutrally. "She has good ideas about Hell's potential." "Oh, indeed. Our Charlie has always been an idealist. The challenge has been finding the power to implement those ideals." Alastor studied him thoughtfully. "Power you seem to possess in abundance. If you're suggesting I'm some kind of weapon for her to use, nothing so crude," Alastor interrupted smoothly. "More a catalyst. A missing ingredient that makes the entire recipe come together." Naruto considered this. "You really believe in her redemption project, don't you? Despite all your talk about entertainment and chaos." Alastor's smile shifted slightly, becoming almost genuine. "Let me share a secret, my dimensional friend. Eternity is dull without change. Hell has been stagnant for millennia, the same power struggles, the same corruption cycles. Charlie's vision represents something novel, something unexpected. And you like unexpected. I thrive on it." Alastor confirmed cheerfully. "Besides, who's to say redemption can't be entertaining? The struggle, the setbacks, the triumphs, all excellent theater." Naruto shook his head, amused despite himself. "You're an unusual demon, Alastor." "We're all unusual in our own ways," the radio demon replied. "That's what makes existence worthwhile." Outside, the bone sentinels continued their silent patrol, their empty eye sockets occasionally turning toward the spire as if sensing the power gathering within. Above, Hell's strange constellations wheeled across the crimson sky, marking the passage of time in a realm where time itself was flexible. Tomorrow would bring new dangers, new discoveries. But for tonight, in this ancient sanctuary, the unlikely company rested, preparing for whatever lay ahead on their journey to the Nexus, and to the truth of Naruto's destiny in Hell. Dawn in the ashen wastes brought no sun, only a gradual lightening of the crimson sky. The bone sentinels had vanished sometime during the night, retreating to whatever dark purpose had summoned them. "They're gone," Husk reported after scouting the immediate area. "Not a femur or phalange in sight." "That's concerning," Charlie frowned. "Sentinels don't just abandon their posts without orders." "They were recalled," Alastor suggested. "Perhaps for redeployment elsewhere along our path." The group prepared to depart, packing their supplies and studying the new route revealed by the spire. According to the magical map, their path would take them through a region called the Whispering Plains before reaching a narrow pass that led directly to the contested territory surrounding the Nexus. "The plains are treacherous," Charlie warned as they gathered at the spire's entrance. "They attack the mind rather than the body. Stay focused, ignore any voices you hear, and whatever you do, don't answer them." "Voices?" Naruto questioned. "The plains are haunted by thought forms, manifestations of lost souls who've been fragmented," Vaggie explained. "They try to lure travelers off the path, trap them in illusions until they waste away." "Cheery," Naruto muttered. Charlie unsealed the spire's entrance, the crystal wall becoming transparent before dissolving into an archway. The group moved out cautiously, weapons ready, senses alert. But the landscape remained eerily quiet, showing no signs of the previous night's undead guardians. They made good progress through the morning, following the hidden path that only Naruto and Charlie seemed able to perceive clearly. The others followed their guidance, trusting their unique perceptions. By midday, the rocky terrain began to shift, giving way to rolling plains covered in pale, ash-colored grass that whispered with the slightest breeze despite the complete absence of wind. The sky above dimmed slightly, taking on a greenish tint that cast everything in sickly light. "The Whispering Plains," Charlie announced. "From here, we move in tight formation. No wandering, no matter what you see or hear." They proceeded in a close group, with Alastair and Vaggie bringing up the rear, watching for pursuers. Almost immediately, the whispers began, soft at first, barely audible, then gradually increasing in clarity. "What are they saying?" Angel Dust asked, straining to hear. "Don't listen," Charlie warned sharply. "That's how they get to you." But the voices were persistent, seemingly coming from the swaying grass all around them. Naruto found they each took on familiar tones, voices from his past, people he knew. "Naruto," came a whisper that sounded disturbingly like Sakura. "Why did you leave us? We're in danger." Another voice, Kakashi's, "The village fell after you disappeared. Everyone is dead because you weren't there." Naruto grit his teeth, knowing these were manipulations, but feeling their sting nonetheless. Beside him, the others clearly struggled with their own auditory apparitions. "Remember the mission," Charlie said loudly, her voice cutting through the whispers. "Focus on each other, on what's real." Naruto nodded, creating shadow clones to surround the group as additional protection. But as they advanced deeper into the plains, the attacks intensified. The grass began to shift, forming shapes that mimicked human and demonic figures, reaching toward them with ashen limbs. "Don't touch them," Vaggie warned, using her spear to keep the grasping forms at bay. "They'll drag you into their illusions." Progress slowed as they navigated the increasingly aggressive landscape. The whispers grew louder, more personalized, targeting each member's deepest fears and regrets. Naruto felt Kurama stir within him, the fox's chakra responding to his rising stress. "Their attacks are similar to genjutsu," Kurama observed. "But cruder, more emotional than technical. Can we break them like genjutsu?" Naruto asked mentally. "Perhaps. Try channeling our combined chakra, but with that new element we discovered." Naruto concentrated, drawing on Kurama's power while also reaching for that other energy, the awakening celestial essence. A golden-red aura began to form around him, similar to what had happened against the Bone Sentinels. "Charlie," he called. "I think I can create a barrier against these things. Like what I did yesterday, but controlled." She nodded understanding. "Do it. We'll say something went wrong with this response, please try again. Go forward and start the next chapter." The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.